today.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's 9:30. Welcome to our January 17th budget meeting. This is our third meeting for budget discussions. We've had some really in-depth discussions. We seem to be heading in the right direction in these trying times. I really want to thank staff for bringing us such a well-prepared budget for us to start off with. And with that, meeting is called to order. I'm going to start off with a land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. The Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of the lands and waters into perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for our generations to come. With that, I'll remind council to please turn your cell phones off or mute them so it doesn't disturb the meeting. And the purpose of this meeting, as I said, is to continue with our budget deliberations for 2024 budget. So I'll remind you of declaration of pecuniary interest. If it arises, we can declare it then. If something pops up, and we're going to do a similar, it's a similar agenda to the past, other than we did bring a lot of stuff forward at the last meeting that I think we're going to clear up this morning and see where it takes us. So we're going to start off with Peter Lawson, Manager of Public Works. And,
through you, Mayor Martin, just before we get to our Manager of Public Works, our treasurer is just going to do a very brief outline of where we are to start. For you, Mr. Mayor. So through the first two budget deliberation meetings, council has certainly done their homework, and about a quarter of the tax rate increase has been shaved off. So after about 20 changes, that being the ones mentioned at the last meeting and those that managers have come up with since that meeting, the increase percentage is now sitting at 4.3%, which I think is significant. I think managers did an excellent job at bringing in below the line budgets without enhancements. So yeah, and we'll be going through those changes that have come up since last meeting, I think, right now with Peter starting off.
okay. All right, so Peter.
Good morning, Mayor Martin and members of council. I'll start off with some of the discussions that we've had in prior meetings. The first one on my list would be the water capital on page 124. I believe there was a motion in the first meeting to keep line item 13, the new production well, and remove line 14, the major maintenance on well 3.
Can you repeat that, Peter? Just
Yes.
124.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. The water capital on page 124. There was a motion, I believe, in the first budget meeting that line item number 13 was to remain, and line item number 14 was to be removed.
Okay. So I guess go ahead.
Yeah. Well, if it gets around to it, I'll make that motion. I just wanted to speak. Pete could speak to why we're doing that in terms of the condition of well 3 and possibly looking for a new well.
For you, Mayor Martin, I believe Aqua did speak to that Deputy Mayor Webb, but I believe the condition and the age of the equipment and the updating that would take that well 3 to bring it up to I think the The overall thought was a new well with new equipment would be
More cost feasible.
more, yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, so if we go through this, we should make motion so Deputy Mayor Webb is gonna move that motion to remove that, and Councillor Doherty is gonna second that. Any other questions? All in favor? And then carry. Carry on here.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. If we can turn to page 66 in the road operating. Page 66. In the previous budget meetings, line item information technology, $5,000 was discussed, and it was to be removed if council so wishes.
I'll stop there. That was, we're gonna do motions as we go through each of these
Well, I was
things.
gonna say, can we do for this whole thing? Kind of.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I think it would probably be more efficient if we handled Public Works operating budget and the changes that are
Okay.
suggested. And if council agrees with all those changes, we can move the operating budget for
Okay.
Public Works. And then
All
move
right.
to
And if there's any amendments, we'd have to break them.
Yep.
Okay. All right then, so carry on then, Peter.
Yes, and if we switch to page 68 is the next was the second discussion that was in the prior budget meetings, and it was the operating contingency. From 2023, the budget was 101,527. With discussions with Lionel, the treasurer, and myself, we put that down to 50,000 for the 2024. And in the last meeting, it was discussed that council in the budget to put it down to 25,000. That was the other operating change that was discussed.
For the money from that, where does it go to then? Like the money that was in there for 100, it's gonna be down to 25 now, is that?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, maybe Lionel can help me on that, but I believe it goes to the equipment reserve.
The chair, the 50 that was taken out before the budget book was printed. Was transferred to the transferred reserves. However, the 25 that was decreased during the last budget meeting just flowed to the net tax levy, so it decreased the net tax levy by 25,000.
Okay. That's good. Okay, I just worry about our equipment reserve being so low, and I would have liked to have seen it going into the equipment reserve, because we're gonna be neither pay now or pay next year, so, but if that's what was decided, that's fine with me, but
Sorry, I apologize, I missed that. What reserve did they say? We're going to?
Each year, before the book was printed during the development of the budget, the contingency was decreased from 100 that it had been in prior years and decreased to 50. And that 50,000 was used to increase the transfer to the roads reserve.
But which roads reserve? Equipment, like roads, town roads, village, which roads reserve?
The roads equipment.
Road equipment,
okay,
which is-
okay, that's good, thank you. Okay. Any other questions? On then, Peter?
Through you, Mayor Martin, that was the only two topics that were discussed from my notes in the previous for the operating budget for the public or the roads department.
Yeah.
Well, through you, Mayor Martin, if there are no further changes to the operating budget of Public Works, we would ask for a motion to adopt those changes.
Okay. Anybody want to move that? There's like amendment to adopt as presented. So you're moving that,
Yeah, what we've got there with the cuts, the 5 and the 25K, yeah.
okay? All right, so moved by Deputy Mayor Webb that we go with the operating and seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, through you, Mayor Martin, we'll switch over to the road capital on page 109.
109.
109. Yeah, so through you, Mayor Martin and the members of council, the last budget meeting, the discussion was revolved around the sixth line. Whether we continue with the ultra thin asphalt or go back to the 2023 budget with a single layer of surface treatment overlay. That was the other one of the topics in the capital roads budget.
So with all the challenges that we have, I really suggest that we finish the cycle of the sixth line, which included an overlay. And that'll take us out another 6 to 8 years. And then we can deal with it then, but that would free up that extra, whatever it is, $500,000 or whatever, but there was a plan in place when we did our roads needs study, and that included an overlay on the sixth line to finish the cycle, and I think we should continue that way with all the other challenges that we have facing us this year on roads. So it's just a suggestion that I would like to see us go with the overlay. Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Well, yeah, thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. You said in referring to the 2023 budget, what was in the 2023 budget for the sixth line that we said we were?
Through you, Mayor Martin, in the 2023 proposed budget, it was $150,000 for the sixth line overlay.
Okay. All right, so what's council's thoughts on the sixth line? We're talking the road, not the transfer station, so Anna, go ahead.
So through you, Mayor Martin, I absolutely agree, because if we can get another 7 to 8 years, the difference in that money can definitely be dealt with other roads that have more problems. I think we'd be wise to spend that money around, so I do agree. Let's take the light activity, and then we can look at again each budget. We'll look at the roads. This time we need to spend the money wisely. So I think the overlay is the best bet.
You want to move it?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do it? We'll do the capital all together. We'll do the capital all
No,
together.
this item we should do
Yeah,
separately.
okay.
Yes, because we did not decide in the last meeting.
Councilor Doherty, do you want to? Okay. Sorry,
I'll get it on the floor and.
Yep. I'd like to pass that we accept this.
Okay, so it'll move by Councilor comment that we do the overlay on the sixth line. Is there a seconder for that?
Question
Yeah.
to that is, it's on for 621. What is the cost of, I've forgotten, Peter, I wrote down a number, I'm not sure. What was the cost of the overlay for the sixth line?
Through you, Mayor Martin, to Councillor Doherty. Last year, the tender came in, it was just under $150,000. It was, my memory serves me right, it was in the 130 range, but we needed a little extra just for doing some preliminary work for some shouldering and so on. So it was at 150 in last year's budget for the overlay. And that would have to go out for tender again.
Okay,
So are we expecting a 10%, a 50, like what if costs come in 24? Is 150 going to be enough? Because everything else seems to have gone up exponentially.
good. Sorry, no.
Okay.
Peter and then.
Through you, Mayor Martin, if we have always got in with the county, Cedarville County, for the tender for our surface treatment. It might be able to be adjusted if we leave it at that number, put it out for the tender, and when it comes back, and when we award the contract or the tender, if we need to add a little bit, that might be the time to, hopefully it comes in under the 150, I'm hoping.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you for that, Peter. I'd suggest we just put in 200,000 and that way we've got enough there. And what we don't spend is gonna roll back into reserves anyway, so
Correct.
that way you don't have to go through the extra paperwork of Lionel moving stuff, right? So I suggest 200,000 and
Hey, Bob.
if you went that way. It hasn't been.
Yes, and through you, Mayor Martin, what I have in my notes is exactly as Deputy Mayor Webb is suggesting. I believe the number was brought forward at the last meeting was 200,000.
Then so. You move that and. Jared?
Through you, Mr. Well, okay, are we moving the
Kathy moved it, moved that we go with it, and that's okay with you, that 200,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a question now?
Yeah,
Or discussion?
yeah.
Oh, sorry, thank you. So if now it's 621, it goes to 200, so that's 421 out. But we've already put 150 away, or 50 or something away from last year. So what is the actual cost going to be?
Okay.
Through you, Chair, 150. 150 was not approved in last year's budget. It was discussed, but I believe it was taken out. There was nothing approved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, then, so we have a mover. Do we have a seconder to get it on the floor? Anybody want to second the 200,000 for the overlay?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. Okay, speak to the motion, Beth.
Through you, Mayor Martin. I am in disagreement with just an overlay. If is a pretty vague word. I'm not sure if that would be 7 years with the high traffic on that road. With Round Lake Road, with the micro, I believe that that should be continued on the 6 line. And then it would be done for 10 years.
So there's no doubt that when it comes up again, that it'll fit into it fits in the new plan is that all the high volume roads would get. We would be looking at the ultra thin and that road would fit in, but it's just we have a cycle that we've been going through and it's just finishing that cycle. So I think it's good management to finish what we started and moving forward, it's new to us, the ultra thin, and it is working really well. So I have a mover and a seconder. Is there any other questions or comments around the motion?
I just make a comment further to that. I understand, but I think to the mayor's point in terms of Councillor Flagler's comments, still having some life left in that road. That's kind of what pushed me into if there's no life left in the road, I'd be all for it. But I mean, if the engineers and our roads people are telling me we got 5 or 6 years if we do this overlay, and we've already put money into said construction before, I don't think it makes good practice for us to be digging up a road that still has life in it, especially when we have so many other major projects on the go, as I think Councillor Doherty referred to. This money could be, put towards other projects at the moment, so and still have a good safe road there for our ratepayers to use. So and hopefully, as I said, to the mayor's point, once it, this 5 or 6 years life, then we'll get a complete rebuild just like Round Lake Road. So.
Right, so I have a mover and a seconder. If there's no other questions, all in favor of the motion? And that's carried. So. Okay.
Through you, Mayor Martin. The other topic that was discussed was the pickup trucks or the 3/4 ton trucks in the last budget meeting. My memory serves me right. The discussion was the one replacement of the 3/4 ton truck. We were going to extend the life of it. We were going to keep it in our Public Works Department for another year or 2 possibly. And the light duty 1/2 ton pickup replacement from years past was to remain. As discussed as like a patrol truck.
Yeah.
In the past meeting. So that was the other discussion we had in the capital road.
And I think that's good planning. One thing I would like to see if we're gonna do that is over the next year, maybe do a business plan on, and we talk about business plans all the time, but the one thing that we used to have and we don't have anymore, and whether it's a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton, is the dump truck that we used to have, and it used to get a lot of use, even just to have a bigger sander in the back of it. It might be time to look at bringing one of them back into the fleet to have more uses. It's just something to think about, but I think, what we had talked about with the truck here is a good idea. So I'll open up to council here. What's your thoughts? Because I think most of these capital items were better to do individually because I think everybody had different opinions on them, but rather than lump them together, it's better to make sure, the proper thing. So. Got it.
So Peter, is this on page 110 that you're talking? So there's no change, is that what you're saying?
For you, Mayor Martin, I'm sorry, I have to find the page.
Yes, it is.
Is it 110?
110, okay.
Yes. Yes, the 3/4 ton truck that we currently have is a 2017.
Right.
The life cycle or the asset management for that truck was to be replaced in 4 years. We're now into 7 years with it. The truck is in good shape and like we discussed in the last meeting, it can get another year or two out of that
Okay.
truck. Yes,
There's no change there, okay, good.
just to remove that 3/4 ton from.
Remember the
capital.
3/4 ton, okay.
Yes, maybe Lionel could help on
Okay.
the wording there.
Well. Yeah, I think you clarified, so Deputy Mayor Webb was asking, when I mentioned to you about the half ton versus 3/4 ton. I think you were saying this is for patrol, is that why you wanted the half ton? It's more for patrol, like it's got less, it's not as valuable as a plow truck, so it's limited use. So to have, and now that we're keeping this 3/4 ton with no plow on it, you're gonna have two vehicles that aren't really work trucks, is that?
Through you, Mayor Martin, that is completely up to council. We could switch the role here and replace the half ton with a 3/4, like. This, the half ton to a 3/4 ton, and you know, we could use the other dollar amount. And then we could possibly have it set up as a spare plow truck as well in case.
I'm never looking to spend more money.
No, that's why I did that.
I think the mayor brought up a good point in that. Are we having a truck, just have another truck to sit around and drive around in, but it really has no other purpose for serving the department, right? And if maybe it had another purpose in that, even on a day off, if we had a big storm, maybe Parks and Rec could get in and use it for plowing, right? Then I'd be willing to pay the extra money if I thought we were gonna get some use out of it, but.
Through you to, yeah, it definitely would be another asset to have as a backup as our equipment does break down, Deputy Mayor. So yeah, that's council's decision and that would be definitely okay with.
So, and the other part of this, so when you mentioned the 4-year lifespan on the 2017, I think the idea then was, if I remember right, it was our patrol truck, so it used to get a ton of miles on it, like, and it's still a patrol truck, but it was going other places too, it was going home at night and whatever. So it probably doesn't have the miles that we were planning on, so we have been able to extend it. Because of it had less use than was planned in the beginning, right?
So through, so if we got this, we would still have as you said, a patrol truck that would be easier on gas and something that's gonna be driven quite a bit. I don't want, not gonna be hauling a 3/4 ton all over the township, right? So. I'm just saying, we already have another half ton that could be used as a patrol truck or something like that instead of said truck.
Sure, I'm not following through you, Mayor Martin, I'm not following Deputy Mayor Webb. So right now, the 3/4 ton that's listed here to be replaced, discussions were to keep it. It's not set up for plowing as of now, it's the 4-door. If council wishes, the half ton that's listed in here to switch it to a 3/4 ton, then it could be set up as a plow truck as a patrol truck, but a backup plow truck, if I'm understanding that.
So I know it's farther along right now, so to go along with what you're saying there, so if we were to get the half ton, what's the thoughts? I know it's late in its time here, but to put a plow harness on the 3/4 ton as a backup that way, would that make more sense? Or like, what's your thoughts on that? If you're gonna keep it for another couple of years, the big thing here is we're like Deputy Mayor said, we're gonna have a half ton to use as patrol truck, very little use, a 2-wheel or half ton, but we have that 3/4 ton that hasn't got a plow harness on it. So what's your thoughts on staying the way we talked about the last time, that we if we're keeping the 3/4 ton, at least put a plow harness on it, look, it's $3,000 or whatever, but use it as a backup, because you mentioned backup when you said, and then continue with the half ton, like it's another option.
Yes, through your memory, I understand now. So yeah, it depends if we're gonna keep the 3/4 ton listed in here for 2 years. It is a $3,000 plow harness, which is correct. With that being said, though, if when we replace that, we need another new plow harness because they changed the models of the truck, so the harness on that truck wouldn't fit on the next new truck, so you're really spending $3,000 for 2 years. I kind of, I must say, from staff's point of view, I kind of agree now that it's been pointed out, if we keep that, take that 1/2 ton to a 3/4 ton and put the harness on it.
That's probably a better idea. So as we first discussed there, like you said, maybe. So so like you say, switch the 1/2 ton to a 3/4 ton with a plow setup.
Yep.
And keep the 3/4 ton as our patrol truck. Yeah. Okay, Kathy, go ahead.
So can I just clarify, Peter? So in here, the 1/2 ton for the 73, we're taking it out, and the next line we're actually keeping in is 3/4 ton. Is that the route we're going?
Yeah, basically, it's
All
switching
right,
up.
so
what was-
remove the first one of the 73,450.
That's what that's what the deputy mayor is saying, is the
Yeah.
3/4 ton's a little more money, but it's gonna have more uses to
Okay.
it.
All right, got it.
Than the 1/2 ton.
No.
Like it is a work department. So it's not gonna be a truck just to ride around in, it's gonna be a work truck, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so remove the first line and then leave the 3/4 in. Gotcha, okay.
But do we still have a 1/2 ton in the fleet now?
No, we don't have one in the fleet. Only 1/2
Well,
tons
that's
we
kind
got.
of what I'm half concerned about too, is if, like for patrols and stuff, right, if you're driving it all over, I'd rather have a 1/2 ton than a 3/4 ton, because gas is not, that could make up the difference in a year or two, right?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, so and that's why I put the 1/2 ton in there in the budget, Deputy Mayor, but this,
I'm just concerned with the 1/2 ton in terms of how many use to, like, I realize
Yeah.
you can use it for patrol, and I guess you can use coal patch or something, but there's not a lot besides, you know, in terms of.
we could add the 1/2 ton back in when that 3/4 ton comes up in a year or two, we could put the 1/2 ton in then. That way the plow harness is getting on this 3/4 ton, which we're saving money. Yeah,
Counselor Doherty?
You, Mr. Mayor, use a 3/4 ton for patrol, to me is an overkill. We're talking about adding a harness for $3,000, which is $1,500 a year for 2 years. And back to Deputy Mayor Webb's point, the cost, we're gonna eat up the cost pretty quickly in gas and probably repairs. And I take it that these harnesses can't be resold, or they're traded in with the truck at the same time. Is there any recoverable costs on that harness in 2 years? I know that's a bit of wishing and under.
yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, there really isn't. I mean, we could get some money back on gov deals for the harness, but 9 times out of 10, they go with the truck when they're sold on gov deals.
So it would be worth more with the harness on it.
To some point.
Yeah, so there's good discussion here, like you say, with the gas mileage and things like that, and, you know, we're certain to get into too much here, I guess, as far as, my problem is, I'm looking at it as a business, and, I think that's what we're saying, is, the 1/2 ton, like you say, if we replace it in a couple of years, got the 1/2 ton when we do get rid of the other 3/4 ton, it probably would be a good idea, like as far as when you get into gas mileage and things like that. There is quite a difference, but not as bad as when it's got all the other stuff on it, if you're calling around the plow and the sander and all that other stuff, so. Okay, Councillor Parker, go ahead.
To you, Mayor Martin. So it's my understanding that we don't have a 3/4 ton with a snowplow? Is that my understanding?
No,
Through you, Mayor Martin, we have 2 regular cab 3/4 ton trucks right now with plows.
Okay, so now we're gonna get a 3rd one. Is that necessary to do that? Cause I believe we've asked Parks and Recreation to put a plow on there as an extra plow. So are we doing a little bit too much extra here? Honestly, like speaking,
would that help you, Peter, if we look at the, you know, to stay like you had here, like you're saying, it would be more of a backup plow, would that help anything? I know it's getting into another department. Yeah, it's getting.
We're kind of in the weeds.
Yeah.
I'll back this up soon that I started this mess. Why don't we just stay with And then we can address this moving forward. Got the flag and bring up a good point. I didn't know we already had two. I see one going around, but I didn't know we had two. So. Yeah, I'll amend that and just suggest that we stay with the half ton and. I apologize for.
Well, I was just, I guess the real question is, if we went that route, who's gonna drive it?
Well, it was gonna be Peter driving it.
Oh, no, we got a snow plow, like how many people do we have to drive this extra truck that we're preparing for Armageddon?
Well, through you, Mayor Martin, I think the discussion was that this would be a patrol truck with a plow to back up if one of our 3/4 trucks broke down.
And
Yeah.
a follow-up, what is our plan today if that happens?
Through your, Mayor Martin, it just takes longer time.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think it's suggested that we keep what we've got in there right now, the half ton and the 3/4 ton. Is that what you're? That,
Through you, Mayor Martin, I'm like totally confused. Are we purchasing all these vehicles or are we deciding not to purchase vehicles? Because we've went up and down. I mean, the 3/4 ton, yes, it's too much gas, we're wasting money. And to me, it's a waste of money to do the harness as well.
okay,
Thank you
Right.
for that. Thank you for clarifying. So then, I move this along, then I'll make the motion that we pass half ton truck, 1448 tandem and garage door, leave out the 3/4 ton. That make it easy.
Seconded.
all right then.
That's
So that's moved. Seconder?
Gary already did.
Oh, did he? Okay.
No problem.
All right. All in favor? That's carried. So. Okay, around Peter then, is that?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, that was the discussions that we had in the last budget. And Bob, if you have either noticed that we discussed in the capital line.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, I believe, I'm sorry if I missed it, the gravel haul. There was a reduction in the gravel haul by $50,000.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin. Thank you, Bob. I did miss that. Yes.
So I was the one that suggested that, and the $50,000 was suggested if we took it down, still got 50,000 going to the township. But the other 50,000 going to the paving of the 6-line transfer station, trying to bring it up to where it should be. That was just my thoughts. That's, we've done it lots of times another year. That 50,000 or 100,000 is easy to move around. And it was just a thing to take advantage of the extra 50K. So go ahead, Councilor Doherty.
300. We have quoted these quantities of questions that our roads are in bad shape and we want to cut our gravel budget in half. It quite frankly doesn't make any sense to me. If anything, we should be maybe increasing it to get more gravel on the roads to improve them rather than decreasing it. That's my thoughts. Thank you.
So the hard top roads are the ones that I was referring to that are in really bad shape. But and that's fine. That's just as part of this budget, we do need to find some money for the 6-line transfer station paving. And that was just an option. We can look for it somewhere else to get that done. And maybe you just have some suggestions, but that was my suggestion, is to find 50,000 to help us pave the 6-line transfer station. Maybe there's a better idea. Go ahead, thinking your way.
Yeah, just through you, I agree that there's definitely work needs to be done down at the 6-line. I'm concerned, I don't know, I'm really hoping that 50,000 is gonna do the job. I wouldn't want to go much more over that. To the point of where we're getting the money from. Respect Councilor Doherty's comments about lowering the gravel haul. Is there a way, Peter and Lionel, that we could break that 50,000 up and say maybe drop the gravel haul, say 25 to 75, and then because there another, like, whether it be reserves or someplace we could pick up that other 25.
Through
The work does need to be done at the 6th line transfer station,
So through you, Mayor Martin, maybe I'll start and Lionel can finish up with me here, but so the roads need study, that the current roads need study we have. So total 83 kilometers of gravel roads requiring a new lift every 20 years, required annual granular placement 4 kilometers, required annual budget of $160,000. So $100,000, we're not quite making what our roads need study is telling us. But that being said too, we do deal with some local contractors and they do give us some good rates when we put our tenders out in the spring for equipment and gravel. So from staff's point of view, I feel like the 100,000 is needed for gravel roads. But and maybe Lionel can help out if there's a solution to get some money from another.
Follow up
look
with
for
Deputy Mayor
somewhere
and
else.
then Lionel.
No, I appreciate that, because no one would know better than you in terms of, that's what my next question was gonna be, was how much you spent last year. So, and I don't wanna be undercutting something like that, because we're just gonna be chasing our tail moving forward. So yeah, we'll leave it like that, and I guess it'll be up to us to figure out where we're gonna get the money for the 6th line transfer station. But, I think, we won't touch that.
That's good.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Mayor?
That's- Yep, that works. Lionel, do you have anything to add to that?
For you, Chair, I was just gonna say that the gravel haul is funded 100% by the OMPF reserve already, so it's already coming from reserves.
All right then. Okay, so we'll talk about the transfer station later.
We're leaving it at 113.
Yep, whatever's there. Okay.
Thank you.
Go on.
There
Go ahead.
you go, Phil. There you go.
Through you, Mayor Martin. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. So for the replacement of the 1446 tandem, is that now 250,000? For the 200, that's what my note, so. Has that been changed?
For you, Mayor Martin, Councilor Slager, if last year, I believe there was $200,000 to start, and then this year we were adding the other 226, top of my head, to get to the full cost estimate for budget purposes, cost on the replacement of the tandem.
Okay, Lionel?
Each year, the budget as it sits is 400 in total. I know to Councillor Flagler's point, there was a discussion during the first budget meeting about whether that was sufficient, but as right now, the amount in total is 400 with 200 approved last year.
So just for clarification, because I have a 26,000 written next to that, so something's telling me, but I have a number of 426 for that 10.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, that's what I have in the capital form ones too, so maybe I've done a misprint here.
I'm just suggesting we up that to 226. So that.
Yeah, that's what I have in the cap form one.
I didn't go through that, but I got 26,000 written next to it, so.
I think for you, Mayor Martin, I think that might have been maybe an added little buffer with it. That's what we just saw with the fire truck and the inflation. So I think that we might have just talked about a little buffer just to be sure we're gonna be under, when we tender it out, to be under.
So Lionel, is that okay then if you can pump that up to 226?
Future, yes, and I can just increase the transfer from the reserve road equipment by the same amount.
Sure. That's not gonna affect the rate or anything, it's just coming from reserve. Okay. All right then.
So can we please get a motion for that?
Okay. So we're gonna bump that up to 226 for this year to add to the 200 from last year. So somebody want to move? Moved by Councillor Flagler, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. So we've got a little bit of room there. Okay, so what we have there, like, so the 6th line transfer station, can find money for that while we're in here, so.
pages up for you.
Is that what it was in the waste?
109.
Not 109.
No, I'm sorry.
That's a false alarm.
Ultimate.
120.
Page 122. 6-line transfer station. The only item at this point.
So we don't have anything to fix the transfer station up right now.
We just cut $400,000 out of it.
Out of
Six lines.
Yeah. So is that where you would get it from, Lionel, like the 400 came out of this line? Is it part of the waste budget or is it roads budget?
You share, the 6th line had 3 different funding sources, just. How difficult it is to find the funding in some cases. One was the OCAF and one was the federal gas tax, so. I don't think it's really applicable to like paving at the transfer station, so I would suggest that if we were gonna add, I'm not sure how much the paving would be at the transfer station, but I would suggest using the general capital reserve instead, because I'm just not sure if it would qualify for the federal gas tax or the OCIF. Because they're more geared to roads.
Well, it was in the budget last year and we pulled it, so I don't remember what it was. But do you have an idea?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, I believe the number was $116,000 to pave the entire transfer station, including the ramps that we didn't pave this year. The 2023 budget approved, I think was 15,000, my memory serves me right. And we did and that was to pave the on and off ramps of the new scale. The $116,000 would have included the on and off ramp paving and the rest, the entire rest of the transfer station as well.
All right then, so I don't know how we get there, but it's something that needs to be done. We've had some issues, so. Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the 6th line paving, and I completely understand that it needs some improvements. That's not the question, but to pave it all, when we're just changing the blue blocks thing effective January 1st, and it's going to come under review again, I think in a year or 2, is it, Peter? Anyway, pretty soon. So what impact is that going to have on us? It's going to allegedly, allegedly it's supposed to reduce the waste or improve the waste. Well, we have to reconfigure our 6th line within the next year or 2 after we've paved it. That's my concern. But
Peter, do you have any?
Through you, Mayor Martin, currently with the blue box transitioning, I think Bob can speak to this as well, but as of right now, there's no changes being made. Everything is to remain the same. So it remains to be seen what changes will come in 2026, if any. So, but to Councillor Doherty's comment, it does maybe make sense to see if there is any changes coming before we go and spend on paving the whole thing. Maybe there's a section that council would wish to.
Yeah, through you. I appreciate Councilor Doherty's comments. There could be some changes up there. My biggest thing up there is basically it's a transfer station. Do we need, to your point, do we need to be paving the whole thing? I think there are certain areas that maybe we can look up and take your advice in terms of that, need to be paved. But for me, a lot of that's gravel. And when I hear pavement, I see future costs. So if we pave it once, it's gonna have to be paved again, right? So we're talking about all these other roads where I might as well just add 6th line to it on every 5-6 year schedule. And at least for the next 5 to 6 years here, I think we all know about the major projects that are going on. I just don't, like, to me, maybe around the scales, obviously the entrance needs to be, as Councilor Doherty said, we all know it needs to be cleaned up, right? But I think a lot of that could be done with a little bit of paving and some gravel and whatnot. The whole thing does not need to be paved because, as I said, I just see that as a future expense in terms of repaving it moving forward.
So the pad up top there is where the issues are right now, as far as all the potholes and things that are up there. So is there a maintenance thing or a, like you say, like a, instead of doing the Cadillac version, is there something we can do to clean it up out there? Like if you had 50,000 or 40,000, would that get us cleaned up enough that it's gets rid of some of the issues?
Through you, Mayor Martin, I don't have the exact number
Yeah.
for off top of my head, but if council is wishing to put something in the capital budget for that area, I would, an estimate of 40,000, I think would be sufficient. I would hope that we could pave the upper top and regrade it and slope it to get the water and drainage. Again, that's just a number that we've discussed today. That's, you know, we're not actually, I don't have any numbers in my head that would.
So more of a maintenance, some money for maintenance out there than like, or I don't know what you call it, but it's just, it needs some attention. And so as long as you have some money to work with, whether it's 10,000 or 40,000, I don't know what council's flavor is, but it has to have something done to it. It's been neglected for years. So, you know, it was paved before and it needs repair. So if you want to put it in as a repair and put it at 25,000 and do what you can, but something has to be done. Councilor.
So Peter, down where the blue box is where the recycle is, because it's like the last time I was out, there's major potholes. So would a load of gravel suffice? Would that fix the pothole problem way down there? Because it was pretty bad.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin. So we're constantly in grading that, adding gravel, calcium down there, you know, to keep the dust down in the summer. Because it transitions from pavement to gravel to pavement, and up top it's pavement and gravel as well. So yeah, we're maintaining it as gravel and adding gravel when needed. And again, it gets calcium just like our gravel roads do in the spring. So
was there a load of gravel put down this winter so far?
through you, Mayor Martin, not this winter, there hasn't been a load of gravel put in. No, in the fall, there was, yes,
So
or more.
in the winter time, you could put a load of gravel down for the potholes?
Yep.
So anyway, so like, and that's where when we have contingencies or whatever, that's, you know, if there's a repair needs to be done, as long as you have some money somewhere that you can kind of give it some attention. To make it a little better than what it is now. I think the center area down below is paved anyways, is it not, where the Packer was?
Yes, through you, Mayor. Half of it is paved and half of it isn't.
Okay,
It's split pretty much in the
Okay.
middle.
all right. So that's all I'm worried about, as long as you've got some money in here that you can find that you can do some repairs next summer and bring it back where it should be.
Through you, Mayor Martin, as staff proceeds from up top, an outlook from staff perception would be to rip that asphalt out, cut the grade away from the bins, like back to the west, like up into the hill, and create a drainage swale around and get the water away from coming down the hill onto the pavement. So it's a little bit of work, but that would resolve and completely finish the up top side of it. Cost wise, again, I'm not prepared. I don't have an answer for an estimate here today, but that's kind of the scope of work that staff would be looking at to do.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. That all sounds great, Peter. But the surveillance cameras, whereabouts are we planning on putting those up there as well?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. We had some issues earlier in this year. I asked Mike, our bylaw enforcement officer, Mike, had a good contact, is where that estimate come from, and there's going to be 8 surveillance cameras. There was no monthly fee. They were going to be similar to the systems we have now. He felt with the 8 cameras that we'd be able to see the entire transfer station, and it automatically records. And I don't know exactly off the top of my head if it's 2 weeks or a month, the recording that we can go back and review the recording, and then it just tapes over itself again. So but there is 8 cameras. That was the intent for the 10,000.
Thank you, Peter.
Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
I'd like to have a motion on that we set aside $50,000 for the 6th line. And have Public Works come back to the conference on the 6th line, and we'll
Okay, so thank you. You're
Second that.
And hard to second that, so. Any other discussion around that? All in favor? And that's carried, thank you. And, that's all you got, Peter? From the changes that we discussed, is there anything else for Peter here? For the public works. Yeah.
Well, he's
Yeah.
talking about all that, I think.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Anything on there? Yes.
Yeah, so we need, there is a water clear report, and we just want to confirm whether everything.
Yeah, we're still going to
Well,
watch.
we should, like, we did a little thing about on the water, but the sewer side. Sorry. Want to be sure we're final?
So motion to approve the public works capital. We've concluded that conversation now.
Okay, I thought we did them individually. Sure. The
Works.
public work.
Yeah,
With the amendment.
subject to the amendments as discussed.
Yeah.
From time to time.
Moved by Councillor Doherty and seconded public works capital as amended motion. Okay, Councillor Flagler, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, Peter, yeah, the sewer portion. What page is that anyway?
remember, I'm on 120.
Sorry, I just had it.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had a question in my notes. Did we knock I got a thing here from 12 for personnel. You knocked that down or not?
No. Through you, Mayor, I think I'm on the wrong page. We're in operating, Deputy Mayor. Oh. Okay.
What page are you, Peter?
I was 120, that was capital.
Okay.
On the operating.
Yeah. Oh, about 71, I'm sorry. On column there. I know we just discussed it last time, we don't want to give too much, but we were asking about like the personnel. Who is getting that? Is that one of our employees that money goes to, or is that part of a contract?
Through you, Mayor Martin, I believe that was it was projected for 2023 at 5,100, and that was probably not me moving that number to an actual 2023 estimate. But yeah, that is for our staff on the operating side, the personnel. Lionel, if you could have anything to add, but that is yeah.
And I apologize. I just have a thing here in my notes with a question mark. It says 12K to 5K for personnel. And but it's in the same, it's in my column where I wrote down all of our other cuts.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was, I don't know if, to me, it seems like we were seriously discussing it. So I just wanted to know if we were looking for more feedback from you in terms of what.
I think through you, Mayor Martin, I think that is definitely on me for not adjusting that number to an appropriate estimate for 2023. I think that was, I believe, in August, I believe we were using those numbers, or September maybe, Deputy Mayor. So that's definitely on me. I don't know if we could pull up and see what that.
No, so you need 12. You think you need 12?
I would
say
say
that's all good.
suggest to leave it alone.
Thank you very much for that.
Okay, Councillor Doherty.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I get a little confused when we're talking personnel. If it's a person and they're on staff, we know exactly what the cost is, and you make them just multiplication times 12. So I don't know if it's 51, are we adding more people? Or are we adding more time? Like, it should be an accurate number when you're talking about about personnel, unless it's a contract or something. Perhaps Peter.
So it's,
Go ahead. No, you
projected back in August, and
Yeah.
it just wasn't updated for the whole year. So the 5,100 was, when you put this in, it wasn't adjusted.
It doesn't really matter whether it's projected or actual. If you have an employee that makes X dollars, and it's 12 months, then the X dollars would apply to the cost. That, I guess that's my point, Jim, but you're wondering that is an August or September number. That was all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's part-time or casual or something, then I understand it. It could be a little different. That's the point. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Art.
Yeah, and yeah, I think what Councillor Doherty's getting at, because I get confused sometimes too. Is there a reason, I guess this addresses to Lionel Treasurer. Is there a reason, like, if I take it the guy that's doing it for you is on our roads crew, right? So I don't understand why our personnel would be listed under. Is there a reason we have to put it under sewer? Like, why can't that be broken down under roads in a group? So, because it gets broken down into so many columns, it's hard to track where, you know what I mean? Especially when we get into Pete's other sheet where we start getting into tree trimming and ditch digging and snow plowing. Whether, you know, it's hard for at least me as a counselor to track that who's getting what. So, yeah, go ahead.
And through you, Chair, the idea there would be making sure that the expense are allocated to the different divisions to show what their real total costs are. So you're right. Deputy Mayor's right that they are Public Works Roads employees. And they get allocated there to know what our total sewer costs are, as opposed to just the costs that are absolutely dedicated, like materials, supplies. It's also good to know, okay, how much of our personnel resources did we use to support the sewer system? And sometimes that's cost allocation is an investment in time for sure. I totally get that point, but especially when there's like funding involved, we allocate machine time as well, and that takes time. But to have like a good total cost for each area can be really beneficial in a lot of different ways, especially with calculating the amount that we send to the sewer reserve, or if a opportunity comes up for funding from the government, they want to see like the total cost for each area, including personnel.
Oh, good. Thank you for that answer. I appreciate that, and it does help us in terms of, as you said, giving us a real cost in terms of what it costs to run that department with the worker that's involved in it. I'm just saying in terms of it. So if I look at the roads department, I look at roads personnel. I'm not really looking. I probably should be looking at roads personnel, water personnel, sewer personnel, right? That would be the total sum of roads personnel, because these guys are doing all the work, right?
So you, Chair, that would be a good way of looking at it. There are allocated costs for these other areas.
Okay, thank you.
So with that number there,
That's good. I'm good with it.
yeah, okay. All right then. Okay, so that's all we have in Public Works here. So thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Martin, Madam Council.
Very good.
Okay, so we're gonna move into Bob and Lionel.
Now we get the knives of.
Yes, that's very big. So try to review some of the we've had at our previous budget meetings. So on page 15, the administration budget, we reduced memberships, travel, and education by $5,000. And we reduced information technology by $12,000. And those were the operating changes to date. Okay, so there was a reduction in the membership, travel, and education budget by $5,000.
Yeah.
And there was a reduction in the information technology budget by $12,000.
All right,
And those were the changes in the operating budget of administration.
Mr. Mayor, sorry. I probably should ask this question earlier, but this is on page 14, which is our investment, interbank account investments, 100 with the 170 and 175. Is it a projected, or this actually that we've got the returns and the money's paid?
Through you, Chair, this is an estimate. We haven't received our total like quarterly year-end statement. So it is at this point still an estimate.
Thanks.
right, any questions around that? So the admin operating, that's all the changes there was? Everybody's good with that? You're not leaving yourself short?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, then, so there'd be a motion to approve the admin operating as presented. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? Go ahead.
For you, Mayor Martin, is this for the Conservation Authority, or are we doing it?
No,
separate?
no, this is
This is just administration, okay. And that's fine.
Okay. Great then. So the next one is council.
No, sorry, through you, Mayor Martin, we had some capital items
Okay.
as well in the administration budget, so page 96. There's a removal of 80,000 for the architectural projects, architectural drawings, and removal of 38,000 for the global positioning system.
Okay. The architectural part of it, I don't support that. I think it should have been in there from somewhere. I don't know where, but I just think we're going back a few years if we don't have that in there. I don't know where we could find it or how we could do it, but the whole idea is being prepared if a grant came along, and we do have the property sitting up there. And the whole idea was that we would move whenever we could get a chance, but by taking that out of there, we're gonna be, we aren't ready. It's not shovel ready. And we could lose a year or two. These grants, if they do come up, they don't come up every year. So the whole idea was to be prepared, and I just don't know if it's did it save anything? It was from the admin reserve, so it didn't affect the tax rate. It just it was saving some money in the reserve, the admin reserve. So Deputy Mayor Webb, go ahead.
I appreciate your comments. I think we talked about this last meeting.
Yeah.
As I said, I've said it before in this meeting, and we all know we have a lot of major projects on the go. This is one we discussed, but I don't think this is on the hot plate right now. And it's a considerable amount of money. I appreciate in terms of being ready for some of these projects, but we have another project. I mean, if you want to put that money somewhere else, I would say it's putting it towards, concept drawings for like what we already have for the arena, but maybe just move something on the arena. We have grant money for that arena, the arena expansion, that we have to get moving on, or else we're going to lose. So I would much rather see, if it's taken out of there, it reallocated to something that we're going to do. We're doing the arena expansion before we're doing the new admin building. So why don't we allocate it to something that, as I said, is upcoming?
Yeah. So Councillor Doherty and Bob.
Through your chair, I agree that we should be shovel ready. Hypothetically, let's say there's a grant come along and we're shovel ready. The grant's not going to cover 100% of the cost. So if we're shovel ready and got to dig in for 2 million because we got the grant, we still don't have the money. So I think pushing it out and working on the other priorities that we have kind of makes sense. Thank you.
through you, Mayor Martin, I would propose that we return the 80,000 to the admin reserve and staff will commit to, we'll get a proper quotation from our colleagues, select architect, this year, and perhaps next year we can bring back a number that is more accurate. We know exactly what it will cost us to get that project shovel ready. And in the meantime, these funds returning to the admin reserve can be used for other items.
So that wasn't accurate? That was just a number you threw in there or what?
Well, we're getting accurate numbers from Let. They did propose a number to us, but I think we can get more accurate.
Okay, that's fine. Anyways, okay.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Yes, I agree with Hartwebb's statement. I believe the municipal building should be one of the last things that we're doing. We do have a project of the baseball diamond needs to be done. The arena needs to be fixed up a bit. And I think going forward, that money could be used in other ways.
Okay. Great then. So is that all there was with the capital then? As far as all these this list of things here? Yeah, those two changes.
That is correct.
Okay, somebody want to move it? Somebody want to move the changes? Okay, moved by Councillor Doherty, seconder. Councillor Clement, all in favor? Carried. Next item, Bob.
So through you, Mayor Martin, following along with our agenda. Next item, council budget, page 19. Through you, Mayor Martin, I had no changes listed. I'm not sure if the treasurer had something on that.
Lionel?
Through you, Chair, there are a couple actually 3 for council. The first one being decreasing miscellaneous council expenses from 18,333 to 8,333. So that's a decrease of 10,000. So in the council budget, the miscellaneous council expenses and tree planting, they are always funded through draws from the admin reserve. And at some point in the past, it was decided that it would be a good use of the amount of money that had accumulated in the admin reserve, most of that being from the OMPF grant from the government to support the council expenses in this manner. So when we decrease the miscellaneous council by 10,000, then that also decreases the draw from the reserve at the same time.
Dr. Fleigner, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin, there was one tree planting, did we cut that in half of 2,500? Or did we take it right out?
For you, Chair, it was completely removed. Yep, down to 0.
Councillor Clement?
And the line isn't memberships, travel and education, that's the one, we're cutting it down to 18.
For you, Chair, that's the third one. And that decreases the total budget by 5,000, but it is just the miscellaneous council items that are supported by the admin reserve draws. So decreasing the memberships, training, and education by 5,000 will decrease the net tax levy by $5,000.
Okay. For the council operating, have you got that, Bob? Okay, Councillor Doherty?
It's just a point of clarity, because there seems to be a little confusion, maybe not with us, but maybe some others, but the transfer of all of them there, community grants, environment, private, all that stuff. All we're doing is topping it back up to its original amount, because there seemed to be some confusion, not from our side, others that we were only setting aside certain amounts, but it's not the case. So that's, I just wanted to confirm that line. Yeah, good, thank you.
Just a question, what's the total amount that we've cut out of council's budget?
You chair, the total amount would be 10,000, 5,000, and 5,000, so $20,000. But the net effect on the tax levy is 5 cents. Two of those amounts, the tree planting and the miscellaneous council, they are supported by admin reserve transfers. They're not supported by net tax levy.
Okay. 5K is,
That's the level.
I don't know.
okay, so we've got 5K from the tax levy, I guess is. Okay, that's a flag.
Yep, through you, Mayor Martin. What's the miscellaneous? I don't even see that word there. Which line are you talking about?
Through you, Chair, you're right, through you. The miscellaneous GL account is under the materials and supplies on page 19. So Councillor Flagler was correct. You don't see a miscellaneous on there. I was talking about that granular level of detail at the GL level. So yes, it is materials and supplies. That's where it is.
Go ahead.
And did we come up, I believe our last meeting, we asked why that was so high. Can you tell us why our materials and supplies are so high?
Through you, Chair, we decreased the projected actual, I believe, at the last meeting. I believe it was down to about 5,000 or something.
5722.
5722. The reason, sorry, through you, Chair, and the reason why that occurred is that there were some amounts coded to that GL account that were actually supported by the transfers to the reserves, those reserves that were set up. So it was just a reallocation of amounts like a journal entry. So the actual projected actual for that line, the materials and supplies, was the 5,700.
5,700?
Yeah,
Correct?
Yeah.
So it's not 22,000 then? Or
That is
8,000.
correct.
So then the 5,000, it's budgeted, but we have 18, which we took off 10, correct? So it brought it up to 8. Okay. Thank you, Lionel.
So the materials and supplies is at 8,000. Thereabouts. Sorry.
You, Chair, 8,333.
Okay. Great.
So, yeah, just for clarification, we cut that by 10. We cut membership and travel by 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 15. So, wait, you said that the effect to the tax levy was only be 5,000, so I'm confused.
Future. Every year in the council budget, it's been seen as a wise use of the money that's come in from the OMPF funding to support the miscellaneous council and the transfer to reserves and tree planting by bringing money in from the admin reserve to offset those. So in our case for 2024, we have, for every dollar in the tree planting budget or every dollar in the miscellaneous council budget, we have an equal amount coming in from the admin reserve. And so, for instance, if we didn't do that, and we had no amounts coming in from the admin reserve for those two areas, the net tax levy would be significantly higher because we wouldn't have that revenue. So what's happened here is that for the previous budget for materials and supplies being 18,333, we had 18,333 coming in from the admin reserve to offset that. So if we take money out of the materials and supplies that is supported by the admin reserve, then the admin reserve goes down as well. So the two offset each other. At the end of the day, that line was not supported by, quote, tax levy in this year. It was supported by money that had gone into the admin reserve previously from the OMPF funding.
So going forward, is it going to be supported by the tax levy? I'm just confused here because I understand in terms of like, so if I go into expense category, I go down, so I go personnel, materials, supplies, yeah, memberships. Everything below that I get should be a reserve thing because we're topping up other reserves. But I'm really confused as to why any of those top three would be covered through an admin reserve. I'm like no other department does it that way, so I'm confused as to why we do it for.
Through Chair, I can't speak to previous councils or previous budget sessions. That's how it's been done for years. And just if we stop now, I mean, that would be up to council, but that would mean less revenue coming into the budget, which would mean the tax levy would go up.
Yes, and understandable, and I know you've walked in a few landmines here. It's confusing, you know what I mean, in terms of I'm trying to figure out where this is coming from, and in the same way, if we take money out of that, but then so if I took money out of that, I would assume that it would affect the tax rate because it's in the operating budget, but it doesn't, right? So I mean, stuff being in there, that's what it's. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's something I think we can work on.
Yeah, through Chair, we could change that.
Yeah.
And so next year, if we said, okay, the amount that we're spending on miscellaneous council and tree planting, we're not going to, bring that money in from the admin reserve. That's fine. So what that would do is that next year, from a base starting point, the amount that we would need to raise by tax levy would increase by the amount of the miscellaneous council and tree planting, because we don't have that money coming in from the reserve anymore. So, and that's fine, and we can do that, but it just means the tax rate will go up.
So yeah, what I was getting at is I was just wondering if in the future, like I said, we could break it like all the other departments have operating in capital. So I mean, I don't know if it'd be considered capital, but I mean, all the like to those reserves should be, to me, kind of a capital expense on a separate page. You know what I'm saying to you?
I totally understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Yes,
Absolutely. Chair, most of the time transfers from reserve are for capital items. There's certainly no reason why they have to be just capital. There's very few parts of the budget that this occurs. Council of the past has chosen to support the council budget with some transfers from reserves. And economic development is another one that it was decided, we're going to spend some money and invest this money from the OMPF in developing the business, landscape. And we're going to, rather than increase the tax rate, we're going to bring in some money from the admin reserve to lessen the burden on the taxpayer for that year. So yeah, we can change any of that. And those are the only three that pop into my mind right now that this occurs. So they're not capital items. They're still operating. It's just the matter of how they're being funded.
Okay. No, thank you for that. Like I said, it's more, I'm not questioning the numbers or anything in there. It's just trying to get your head around it because this is the materials and supplies is really high, right? And then when we get the actual, it's low, but then as you said, there's other things in there, but until I talk to you or get that knowledge, I don't know that there are other things in there. So I appreciate that, Lionel. Thank you.
Councilor Doherty's first there, he's been waiting.
Through your chair. Lionel, I hate to go back to this, but all this transfers from the community ones, the council ones, the initiatives. When we did that last year and set aside $80,000, where did that money come from?
So each year it came from the admin reserve.
So we did tax for it last year. Okay, thank you.
Through you, Mayor Martin, and we can certainly examine this item. Perhaps I would suggest that we do fund these things through taxation initially in future budget discussions, and then we could certainly adjust accordingly if necessary. These do look like operating items, and I think to simplify the process, we would go to the admin reserve if necessary.
Okay. Follow up if I can, I agree with what Bob was saying, their operating budget, and that's what we're doing, but when we have them in the operating budget, when we take it out, it doesn't have any effect. I think it's very, not very, but maybe a little bit misleading when we're thinking about operating costs, and then we say, well, not really operating costs, is something else. So I think we need to get some refinement in there. Lionel and I have talked about it earlier. Thanks.
No, they're definitely operating costs. 100%, they are not capital costs. Like there's no, it's in the operating budget and they're definitely operating costs. And there's absolutely no reason why, and a lot of municipalities have the last few years funded a lot of their operating expense net tax levy by transfers to reserves. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a good way to go because it's not sustainable to fund operating expenses by transfers from reserves, but that's the way it's been for the council budget and ACDEV for several years. And we can stop that, but just so everybody is clear that if we stop that, then that means there's less money coming in to the operating budget, which means then the tax levy goes up and the tax rate goes up. So when we make that change over, that means the tax rate will go up. So there's, now that it's being done like for several years, that's great. I mean, we can afford it in the admin reserve, and that's partially what the OMPF funding is for, to address operating pressures. But if we decide that, you know what, we're going to have a hard and fast rule, operating budget, no funding from reserves, there will be an effect on the net tax levy.
So, okay, go ahead.
Thanks for that information, Lyle, but if you're going to have operating costs and we have them and they're there and they're annual, they're line items. If we find out that we get to and it's going to increase the tax levy, we can make a decision at that time to take some money out of the reserve in a bulk form and move it over to control the increase in the reserve. This to me indicates that it's operating capital, but now we're kind of saying it's not really operating. I get confused, but I mean, we're too deep into it now, but
Yeah.
It has maybe just needs some attention next year. Future, it is operating. There's no doubt about it. It's an operating expense. It's in the operating budget. So if I can change it next year, that's great. But that will be an automatic right off the top increase in the tax rate because we won't have the money.
So and that's when we can deal with it. I think like Councilor Doherty is saying that we're into it this far now. I think it's just flag it for next year and you can give us what it looks like with or without it. And then we can decide if we want to deal with it then or leave it as it is. But it's good that it's been brought up now and it's flagged and we can look at it. I think we're so far into this one that next year we can look at that and see, and maybe that is an option to put it in the we draw from reserve if we need to, if there's too much pressure, because we could probably cut some.
It says operating in our book, so yeah. It says operating, so it's either operating or it's not, and how we handle and cover the expense is a secondary item in my opinion. Because if you're going to tell the taxpayers, this is what it costs us to keep the lights on and the roads thing in Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, we need to know our operating costs because we do that as part of our draft and our reporting process. So
yeah,
thank you.
Okay. All right then. So the changes that are there are the 10,000, 5,000, 5,000, which is 20,000, and it's 5,000. It's gonna come from taxation. The rest is just to leave put back into the reserve. So we're gonna need a motion for as presented. That's everything in it. Does somebody want to move as presented? Okay, Deputy Mayor Webb. Seconded by Councillor Doherty. Any other questions? Yeah.
Through you, Mayor Martin, you said 20,000? I thought it was 15,000. Did I
It's-
miss something?
No, yeah, like it just total changes are 20,000, but there's 15 of it is from the admin reserve and 5,000 is from taxation.
Oh, okay.
There's $20,000 in adjustments, but it's only 5,000 is helping.
Only 5,000 is gonna affect the tax rate.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a mover and a seconder. Any other questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, carry on, Bob. Next, Conservation Authority.
That's following along. Through you, Mayor Martin, following along with our agenda, Conservation Authority on page 31, no change since our previous budget meetings. We have not yet received a final number, I don't think, from,
No,
okay,
tomorrow.
from Crow Valley Conservation.
My meeting's tomorrow and I think we put 5% in there just as a number and I think that's. I'm pretty comfortable with that. It's gonna be in around there. I don't think, and if it's not a huge budget, like I always say, the percentages in the Crow Valley budget are $7,000 is 1%. So I think I think 5% is a good number to put in there that we have.
Okay, source water, sorry.
As far as if it's higher, does that come out of the mayor's pay?
Yeah.
Seeing that he sits on.
Making a motion. is that-
Motion from Cal.
Yeah.
And further to that, I appreciate the mayor's work down there because before he was there, we're getting, increases in double digits some years, so good job.
Source water, again, no change from previous budget meetings. 84. Library budget. Page 48 and 105, no change. Previous budget meetings. Sorry.
On the forgive me, Mr. Mayor, on the library budget, haven't been privy to it. Do they have a business plan going forward on the next 12 months, what their accomplishments and not only their capital costs and operating costs, but what are they proposing for next year? Not like the budget item, but maybe we could get that to support their budget item.
Well, okay, so. We're actually having a meeting tomorrow afternoon. So going forward, they have some plans, not a lot. Trying to think, because we haven't had a meeting since November. I think what they've got the plan. They're doing renovations, which is part of their budget. They're getting new shelving units and stuff like
Yeah, that
that.
was the capital item, yeah.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
okay.
What else are you looking for?
Well, what's the shelving going to accomplish?
You have to have it. It's the old shelves are starting.
What's supposed to replace?
It's pretty quick.
Okay, thanks.
Would you like to attend tomorrow's meeting, Leslie? Okay,
If you could put off a celebration of life, I would.
okay.
I don't have that late. Randy appointment.
Oh. We're getting some clear. Yeah, I was getting feedback there, so.
Sorry.
Okay, so
All right,
then cemetery,
yes, through you, Mayor Martin. So library had one capital item on page 105, which was computer hardware for 6,000 and no change since last budget meeting. Cemetery, but sorry.
That's kind of great. Go ahead.
Cemetery budget, page 28, no change since the last budget meeting.
Right then. So the motion with.
Motion to adopt those budgets. Unless there's any change.
Any changes to those? The function would be to approve those. Then. Moved by Councillor Clement. For the seconder. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? Carried. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna, I wanted to finish that section and maybe if we could, we could have a bit of a break for
Sure.
5 minutes or so.
Yeah. Okay, so, that includes that.
That's, yeah, make the motion.
I think that's got something there.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. This seems to be just a big rush. I'm still on library and we're already passing, going for a break. So anyway, one question about the library. It says books and videos for 16,000. That was on the agenda thing last year, it was 16,000. I realize like they're doing renovations in there, am I correct? And I would also like to see a business plan going forward for the library as well. Because whereabouts they are with these books and videos and trying to organize, I guess, the library.
So the books and video ongoing thing to update all the time for the kids. A lot of this is really geared towards the kids. They got a lady come in and do a almost like a before you get to kindergarten, the moms at home, like the mom's taught, which is costing money. They come in. That's where some of that is. And the other thing is you have to bring up computer stuff too. Because we offer the genealogy courses free of charge. You can win at any time. So a lot of that's just always ongoing. That's not going to change. So like you have to keep the computer and the systems up to date. But I can, they asked, actually, I think we're gonna have Lionel come and sit with us at one of our meetings. And because their budget is pretty well dead on most of the time. It's not too far out. Like they aren't extravagant. They don't spend any extra. So, but anyways, I'll have Lionel go with me to a meeting and we can come back, Lionel, and discuss a business case.
And that might be a good thing as far as all of our committees, like sometimes it is nice to get the committees to come in and do a delegation. So maybe, you know, we can get the librarian to come in and do a update, same as some other committees that we're on. It's always nice to get an update right from them or ask those specific questions for the person that's on the committee and they can bring back a report. But for today, yeah, it was a pretty good budget that they've put forward and yeah, so. All right, so motion to take a.
Yes, I am. Yes.
What else did you have on
That's
there?
okay, Jim. Let's just move forward, please.
Come back to it.
Good after we come back from break here, so. Yeah.
Done that.
Sure, good night. So we'll take a 10-minute break, so we'll come back quarter after. Motion to recess. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor, it's carried.
Oh.
Okay, so I'll look for a motion to resume. Councillor Doherty, motion to resume. Yep. Okay, a seconder. Deputy Mayor Webb. So, okay, we're gonna finish up here with library. Is there any other questions around library, Beth?
Oh, thank you, Jim.
No? Okay, all right then, so we're gonna move into
Building department.
building department. So Travis, you're on.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So as per council's request, at the last budget meeting, we were to look for 1% if we could. So if you go to page 27, the operating budget for building. Through there, we're able to reduce materials and supplies by 500 and repairs and maintenance by 2,500 for a total of 3,000.
There's the maintenance and materials and supplies.
25?
25.
445, I think it's seven.
On page 26, is it?
Or it's 27.
25.
Oh, sorry, it's 27 in my book.
27 is written materials.
Oh.
I don't know, it's like, not sure what you're looking at.
What's the number in the personnel?
Okay, 21.
I didn't do that.
What's the number in the personnel?
Page 20.
Personnel though, what's the number in the personnel? 123,
My number in personnel
yeah,
on 2023,
afraid of the sheet you're looking at.
actual
No, just the first one, budget 2023.
2023, 332, 675 on our page.
Page 25.
That one.
Yeah, okay, there we go, perfect. Awesome.
Okay.
And
Councilor
Through
Flaherty.
you, Mayor Martin. I'm sorry, Travis, there was a little bit of confusion when you first started. Could you repeat what you had just said?
Yep, so when we looked at the building department budget for building only. Materials and supplies. We proposed at 3,500, we reduced that by 500. And repairs and maintenance was proposed at 11,500. We took 2,500 off that for a total of 3,000 out of the building operating budget.
thank you for the work on that, Travis. Just a question, I see you're lowering it the 35 to below what your actual was last year. Would you prefer to leave that at 35?
So we looked through you, Mr. Mayor, we looked at the actuals and we're comfortable with 3,000.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the cuts you made. Appreciate that, Travis. Thank you.
All right, then, so a total of 3,000 cuts from there and so you're gonna move it. So moved by Deputy Mayor. Go with the amendment numbers. Seconder. Councilor Doherty, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay,
The bylaw enforcement, there was no change from the previous meeting.
okay,
And that's the same for animal control, no change for animal control. And the planning department had a look at that, and it's the operating budget is page 62 in my book, but professional services and contract. So that's our consulting. That by 5,000.
what page is that?
It's a line item up 62 in my book.
Okay. That's planning operating, is that? Plan?
correct.
Okay,
What was that again?
So the professional services and contracts, so for consulting, have it as 75 and propose to reduce that by 5,000.
okay with that? Go ahead.
Have these, sorry, to the treasurer, have these been working to that number? Or need to add to the number?
Here, Chair, I do have to add that one. I didn't have that one in my list, so I will add the minus the reduction of $5,000.
So. Look for changes there then, Travis? Okay,
So yeah, I'll make a motion to approve capital budget for building.
okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councilor Doherty. Favor? That's carried.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Travis.
Okay. Ready? On.
Morning, everybody, again. So again, I was asked for the 1% reduction as well. So page 46, if we're all on that stage. So under membership, training and education, I was able to reduce that 3,200. Materials and supplies. I was able to get 1,400 there, and repair and maintenance 1,000 there. So the total of 5,600.
Here's the supplies, how much was it, Ray?
1,400.
What's the other one?
Repair and maintenance,
Okay.
1,000.
Doesn't seem like a lot, 2,000 for repair and maintenance. Okay,
And that's where I ended up.
and has that been figured into that, Lionel?
Through you, Chair, yes, I had all the other changes except for the reduction of $5,000 in professional services, so all of Ray's changes are in the budget right now, and just if I could, the decrease of $5,000 from professional services has decreased the tax rate increase to 4.2 from 4.3.
Already, go ahead.
I'm a little confused. Which repairs and maintenance are we talking about? 61 or the 2,000 that you took it off of? I don't know why we have two lines for repairs and maintenance. I just realized that now. That's on page 46. I don't.
Yeah, there is two. And
That's probably the repair and maintenance. There will be the buildings, the repair and maintenance up here will be trucks and everything else.
Okay, so there is a distinction there.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 1,000 is off
The top one, yeah, okay.
Oh, that makes more sense then. Okay, because I picked up on the 2,000 one, I like kind of to 1,000. Okay. Okay, Lionel, so maybe that could be even identified better as equipment. Okay. All right,
Sorry, how much was the membership training? What was that
The
number?
membership and training and education was 3,200.
3,200. Thank you.
minus 3,200.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so. Everybody okay with the changes? Yeah, so.
Well, I was just gonna make a comment that I'd like to thank the fire chief for making those changes. Because I'm gonna one that ask for them, but once again, I'll ask everybody this, like I suggested, try and cut 1%, but you're comfortable with even like you're not cutting any place you don't really want to cut, are you?
Yes, but it's okay.
I know you're
Comfortable with it.
okay. I just want to be sure, right? In terms of we're trying to get there, but as I said, if we couldn't get to the 1%, do your best, and obviously you did, and I really appreciate it, Ray. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll move that.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councilor Doherty. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Capital rate, is there any capital changes?
No capital.
Okay. Well, then I'll move it. Yeah, just hold it. We better do this.
Yeah. Let's just go through that capital. That 103.
Yeah, I don't think we had any issues with the last meeting with this capital, but
Oh, great.
yeah, I don't know. I'll just let everybody else look at it, but I'm willing to make a motion that the budget as is. So
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb that we approve the capital budget as is, as presented at the last meeting, and seconded by Councilor Doherty. Questions, comments around that? All in favor? Carried.
Great.
Thanks, Rick.
Payments. MasterCard.
Okay, so
Yes, thank you.
economic development.
Sure. Yeah.
You guys, Sherry, I'm thinking people.
I can let her know.
Yeah, thanks, Ray.
Okay, so we'll wait for economic development here.
Otherwise, let's get one out of here.
It's in there.
I know, I-
Okay, for those online, we're just waiting for economic development to come in, so. Otherwise, it's a quiet spell there. Yeah. I think we left the building. All of you.
Yeah, because you do want to go afternoon.
Yeah, she had her earphones looking at.
You wanna- Call it.
Oh,
My apologies, you caught me right in the middle of posting.
We had a schedule, sorry. Yeah, so we're into your economic development budget and seeing what changes, well, there was some changes suggested last time, just seeing where you're at.
For you, Mayor Martin, just to summarize the changes that were recommended last day when we met. There were, I believe, 4 in total. So if you look to the 2024 budget highlights listing and you go to the number 6 item, which is gateway signs, it was decided we would move that out to CapEx. And then if you were to go down to the 9th item, which is fire and ice, where it says festivals, or excuse me, where it says fireworks, we would change that to festival or festival event. And to the right, where the amount shows 4,728, it was decided that we would replace that with a 10,000 contingency. So that we would be adding $5,272 to that 4,728 to equal 10K. Any questions of that? And then thirdly, we had overlooked Summerfest event. And so we've added to the amount, or we are going to add to the amount, the 3,000, which is what we had spent in 2023. And if you look to item number 10, which is shop local project, it shows 3,600 in an effort to adjust the budget by roughly 1%. It has been adjusted downwards by $500 to 3,100. those combined changes bring the total budget to $39,443 by my count.
Sorry, what was that, 39?
$39,443.
Right? Still gonna be able to accomplish what you were hoping?
Pardon?
Still gonna be able to accomplish what you were hoping,
There are a couple, certainly, there are challenges associated to all festivals, and that had come up with the contingency of 10,000. I am receiving support from a committee of some 12 people, but there's a lot to do in a very short period of time, and sponsorship is a big driver of ours right now. I'm meeting with them this evening to promote that and to get more support. But that we still aim at this point, I couldn't tell you if we're going to be on or off the budget that I presented earlier to achieve that.
okay? All right, well, thank you for that. Any questions for Sherry? Okay, Councilor Fennell?
Very sure. So the number 6, the gateway signs, what do you think is happening with that?
We're, through you, Mayor Martin, we had decided last day that the gateway signs would be in the budget, but not within my budget. So it would be a CapEx expense, the physical signs.
CapEx.
Capital
expenditure,
expense.
forgive me.
All right,
It would,
so. Okay. Which makes sense, so. Okay, so what's going on this budget? Councilor Flagler, go ahead.
I have one question for you, Sherry. The transfer station message centers, is that the bulletin boards they've got down there?
Through you, Mayor Martin, these are, it's an initiative that Bob and I talked about in the past, where it's very difficult to communicate with our seasonal residents. They're not typically coming into town into any of the areas where we have bulletin boards, but they do use our transfer stations. And so the notion being that we would install bulletin boards that are sturdy, almost they're utilizing sort of that, oh my goodness, forgive me, I'm trying to think of the words for it, but it's a fabricated plastic wood materials, so it would stand up over time, where you can actually open and close, and we could put our bulletins and whatnot there. I
Okay,
have a picture if
so at this point, though, we don't have a transfer station message center.
we do not, and that was.
That is the cost of, now is that only for one transfer station, or is that for all of the transfer stations?
Through your Mayor Martin, it would be, I believe, 4 in total.
All transfer?
Yes.
Okay.
And through you, Mayor Martin, just further to that, we do believe we're underutilizing our transfer stations as a message center. We believe it's a good customer service point of contact for our township. So any messaging that the township would like to put out there, we believe that the transfer station is a perfect place to do that. So that's what this expense is helping us to achieve.
Through you, Mayor Martin. Bob, thank you for your comments. And yes, I agree, we do. It would actually help with the getting messages out there for the station. I was just curious because I'm just not sure what the transfer station message center was. Thank you.
All right then, so you have it here, what's council's thoughts? Somebody want to move it as changed with the changes? Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded, Councilor Flagler. Any questions, comments? All in favor? And that's carried.
Through you, Mayor Martin, thank you all.
Dr. Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry. I like it.
Great, thanks. Remember that.
Boy, it's going to be following along.
Okay. Beyond there.
Okay.
Okay, Josh, are you in?
Yes, good morning.
Morning, Josh. So, like the rest of the staff, I guess you've been following along, so we're going over your budget now. And so what I have here is page 51 to start with.
So, as requested, we have, made some changes. So starting at page 55, under Parks Operating.
Okay.
The, building repairs and maintenance line. 2023, we had 5,500 budgeted. We had spent 1,000. We were able to shave 3,300 out of that account. On page 56. For arena contract services. It was at 6,000 in 2023. We had spent 5,300. We reduced that by $500. And also on page 56, under arena operating, for equipment repairs and maintenance, we're able to take $1,000 out of that, which brings us to $4,800.
Which one was that to take 1,000 out of?
Equipment repairs and maintenance.
What page though?
Page 56. So
Page 56, yes.
you're taking it from 15,565 down to 14,565?
That's 14.
To you, Mayor Martin, it was the last year's budget was at 14,565.
Okay,
And so we're taking $1,000 out of, so I had added. Just adding $1,000 to that to cover the department fuel. It was recommended that we had added $1,000 to that. There's a few things that come out of that GL. As everyone knows, we have new upgraded equipment for the arena, so we're kind of safe to say that we could take $1,000 out of that account.
okay. So that's $1,500 altogether out of there,
That is correct. Well,
500 and 1,000.
yes, but they are different accounts.
Yeah. Okay, Lionel.
You Chair, it's actually more because we add in the 3,300 to that as well, so it's 3,300 plus 1,500, so 4,800 so far.
Okay,
And I'm sure, through Chair, that Josh is coming to it, but there's also the special events position in the Matheson edition as well.
where is that? Under
Here, I'll let Josh.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that through your Mayor Martin?
the special events. What'd you say, Lionel?
You Chair, on page 52, it was discussed that we eliminate the special events position that was proposed in Parks and Recreation, and it was also proposed that we add $15,000 for Matheson materials and supplies to dedicate to that recreational amenity.
Through you, Mayor Martin, thank you, Lionel. So that is correct. We've taken away a position and added money to the Matheson property. During the last council meeting, council decided to call that a wash.
Okay. Dr. Flagler?
To you, Mayor Martin, so that's memberships, training and education, is that what we're talking about for Matheson? I'm not really sure where everybody is.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I do believe the 15,000 was added for signage and any other improvements. Perhaps Deputy Mayor Webb can add to that.
Okay, before we go further, I understand that the 15,000 and what it's needed, but where is it on this page? Am I adding it myself? That's my question.
Through you, Mayor Martin,
Thank
it was not in here. It was an oversight and it will be added.
Okay,
And it's 15,000, correct?
That is correct.
Deputy
Okay,
Mayor
thank you.
Webb. you want-
Just through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, I'll take the heat on that one, Bev. I alerted Josh after the books were put out, so I'm the reason that it's not in here, but yeah, 15,000 basically to cover the sign, and hopefully that talking for us that moving forward for Madison.
Okay, and, oh, sorry, and through you, Mayor Martin, one more question for the membership training and education, you expect that to be 11,000 for this year?
Through you,
Whereas
Mayor
last-
Martin, have to take splash pad training. It's an extra expense this year, so that's going to be for our 3 full-time staff members. And plus the overtime relief position will also require this splash pad training. Plus, we are keeping on with our normal training that we normally have through our professional designations. So it is projected that, yes, it would still be the same.
11,000 or 3,000? Because you spent 3,000 last year.
The actual was 3,370.
Exactly.
No, actually, through you, Mayor Martin, the actual will come in at $6,190.35.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
Was there anything else in there, Josh, for operating? That pretty well summarized everything that we had.
To you, Mayor Martin, still going off of last meeting's notes, staff was asked to investigate the annual expense to have a generator. We had reached out and we're currently waiting for a response on that matter.
Makes sense. Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, what happened, page 53, overtime relief, was that part of the calculations and is it still in, or where does that stand, Josh? I kind of can't remember.
Through you, Mayor Martin, Councilor Doherty, the overtime relief position, as I know, currently is still in.
Special event was taken out. That's what was changed there. Yeah, okay. That was what was a wash there or whatever. We took the 15 from there and put it towards the sign. Is that right?
Okay. What,
That is correct. The through you, Mayor Martin, the overtime relief position is still in.
Okay, thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
Oh. Through you, Mayor Martin. Okay, so the overtime relief is now projected to decrease by 5,000. And like, are we hiring another person for parks, like for the overtime relief?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we can do 2 things. We can either hire a contract position for the overtime relief, or we can add some funds for the overtime, so it would not show an overage. That would be council's decision.
Okay, thanks for that. Thank you, Josh. But so as this budget stands, we're not hiring overtime relief and we're not doing a special events operator, that I know. So is the other one gone off the budget?
Through you, Mayor Martin, to my knowledge, we were leaving in the overtime relief position, but if you would like to take that out.
No, not at all. So that would be contracted.
Through you, Mayor Martin, that would be a contract position. They would also need the training for the splash pad.
Okay, correct. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Okay.
Maybe it's a question for, through your chair, this for Lionel. If we're going to take 15,000 out of overtime, is that reflected in the salary costs as well? So is this kind of a wash here or an expense?
Through you, Chair, that's a good question. What's happened here is that the overtime relief was, as we see here on 53, an increase of 15,000, which resulted in Josh's overtime projections going down by 10. So it's a net expense as it sits here of $5,000.
A lot. You want to follow up?
Yeah, if I can follow it. So salaries or personnel or whatever category you have it in, is down by 10.
You, Chair, what has happened here is that by adding the overtime relief position, so the 15,000, so the personnel would increase by 15,000, and then Josh predicts that due to having this overtime relief position, his estimate of total overtime spent could decrease by 10. So it goes up by 15 and decreases by 10.
So, any other questions? Go ahead.
Sorry, follow up that. So is your understanding, Josh, that we are going to hire this contract person with an upper side of $15,000 to relieve in those special projects that we approved yesterday at the council meeting? We've got several things rented. Is that what it's intended for?
Mayor Martin, yeah, yes, you're right about that. It's intended for help with the special events over the weekends during the summer. It's also for helping out at the arena throughout the hockey season, skate sharpening, moving the nets for the Zamboni operator. And it is also for the splash pad checks on Saturday and Sunday mornings.
Thanks, Joe.
So having that person, then it'll relieve some of the staff overtime. Understanding, right? The overtime for staff will go down.
To you, Mayor Martin, it is projected that the overtime for staff will decrease up to 60%. We're leaving some in there for some facility callouts. That is for full-time facility staff to take care of.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Kathy.
So just to clarify, so the overtime relief person would be contract, and that's why it's cheaper, because if you're paying overtime to regular staff, you've got the benefits and stuff included, so that's where it goes down. Am I on sort of the right direction, Lionel?
Through you, Chair, I believe that's the general thought, but I wasn't sure about whether it was a contract position.
Okay. Bob?
Through you, Mayor Martin, the discussion at the last council meeting was to have this as a contract position, which would be part-time as needed. As a result, this person would not be working 40 hours a week, therefore would not be paid time and a half for these after hours events. So that's one saving on top of the benefits as well. In the perfect world, we would hope that this would become a wash and we would save 15,500. We will not know that for sure until we examine this after the fact. So next year at this time, we should look back and there should in fact be a savings equal to the expenditure, in which case this makes total sense.
Great then, so. Is that all the operating there? Josh?
To you, Chair, that's correct.
Okay, this council's thoughts there. Want to summarize the? Thank you. Yeah, can you summarize the savings here or some of the cuts that you've done here then, Josh? Can you summarize them again? Just overall.
Absolutely. So we have come up with $4,800 in cuts. Page 55, we're taking 3,300 out of building repairs and maintenance. On page 56, we're taking 500 out of contract services for the arena. Also on page 56, we're taking out $1,000 for arena equipment repairs and maintenance, for a total of $4,800.
Yeah, it's up to. My math's not real good, but that's up to 5,000 for me, but anyway, that's good. You said 3,500, 500 and 1,000?
No, 3,300.
33, okay. All right, thank you.
3,300, yes.
That adds up.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Josh.
You're
All
welcome.
right then. You had a question, Jerry?
No, I'm just thinking.
Okay.
I know it's sweeping the swamp.
Okay, so, all right then, Josh, that's so on your operating side, there's got a $4,800. So what's council's thoughts here as far as, you know, basically everything you've got. So if somebody wants to move it, moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clements.
Just very quick, that this has all already been reflected. Okay, this has all been accounted for.
To you, Chair, yes, it's all been accounted
Thank you,
for.
Len. Good.
Okay, and it's all reflected in that number that Lionel talked about, so. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you, Josh.
Welcome.
So the next part of your capital, I guess. The facilities and capital, are they all together there? I guess everything's. No. I'll wait till we get into the next one. So page 100, is it?
Yes, so page 100, we've on our last council meeting, we have decided to the flagpoles, we were taking out 24,000 and we were adding, I believe it was 6,000 for possible repair. And the town hall furnace, the department is hoping to possibly get that passed today as of my department update that went out last week. We've had 2 breakdowns last week, which resulted in some discomfort for our user group, the jammers. So if we could get that furnace passed today would be fantastic. We can get that ordered and get on with things there.
Okay. So yeah, so you're gonna look at repairing the flagpoles and see if there's a cost savings there. So 6,000 there, they reduce that by 18,000, and that's just reserve anyways. And then the 5,000 for from the facility reserve for the furnace. You would like to see that passed today.
To you, Chair, if we can, that would be great, yes.
Okay. Okay, so anything else in there?
That's it for facilities capital.
So some of and I don't know if this fits in there, but the 2 things that I have that I'm kind of worried about is the town hall and the community center addition. We don't have anything in there for that, and I don't know if there's anywhere we can kind of have something there to help us move forward. You have any ideas? Deputy Mayor Webb, or like, so those are.
Do you want to get into this now or wait till we?
I don't know what. It's up to you. We got till 12:30, don't we?
And then what?
Oh, no, and if it's gonna work till 12:30, then I think we're gonna have to come back, probably by the sounds of it, everybody's having lunch. So
Well,
I'm just feeling.
no,
So it's just my concern. We don't have anything in there and I'm just worried about, it's gonna
no,
come up. We're gonna have to have some sort of plan in place.
we got a few things there that we need to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if maybe we run through this and then we can talk about those things after,
Okay,
as a council.
yeah,
We don't need the managers here for that stuff, I don't think so.
okay.
A lot of it, right?
So through you, Mayor Martin, earlier in this meeting, we did return $80,000 to the admin reserve from architectural drawings that were removed from budget. So some of those projects could certainly be included.
Okay. All right, then. Okay. So these facilities things that Josh has in here, so everything's okay with these things?
Yeah.
Changes that were supplied, so moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councilor Doherty. Any questions around that? That's just to do with page 100. Okay, all in favor? Do you have a question? Sorry.
I do.
Yeah.
So will Josh be able to go ahead and get the product prepared today?
Yeah,
It's pretty cold out there.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, if council passes the motion to approve the facilities capital budget, we will proceed with that project immediately.
Perfect. Thanks.
okay, I'm surprised we had to wait for it. It's been breaking down. Okay, all right then, so we are all in favor of that motion?
Yep.
And that's carried. Thank you. All right then. So what next?
Page 106, if we'd like to do Parks and Recreation Capital.
Okay. Thank
During the
you.
last meeting- oh,
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
During the last meeting, we had taken the tennis pickleball court from 56,000 down to 25,000. We were okay with the 160 for the sports complex. We weren't sure about the West End Park parking lot at 55,000. We've taken the dog park fencing down to 15,000. Council would wish to scratch the replacement of the caboose pond. We agreed that elevating the ball diamond was a great idea at 10,000. Decorative banners at 3,500. We're okay. We're not sure about the parks utility tractor. Council had decided that we were going to replace the 2004 3/4 ton crew cab in 1 year. Cordova Christmas lights were okay at $9,000. We're okay with the $40,000 for the standby generator. We're not sure about the precast stairs for 15,000. And we spoke about the Cordova rink repairs, and it was proposed that that goes from 200,000 to 150,000.
Josh, I'm just wondering, I had something different from the pickleball to the parking lot. I thought it was the parking lot was going to 26 and pickleball, like, I don't know what you can do for 26,000 for pickleball. I thought 56 was pretty tight, but I had those two reversed. I don't know whether I wrote it wrong. So
I'm sorry, Mayor Martin, would you repeat that? What did you have for the pickleball?
no, so you had the pickleball reduced to 26,000 and you had the parking lot or the West End parking lot left at 55, and I thought we reversed that. I thought it was 26 for the parking lot because we weren't looking at doing the whole parking lot. It was more of an entrance or something. And the So, yeah, so I could have wrote it down wrong, I just,
I had it, sorry, I'm sure you remember, I had the pickleball the same, and then I had notes here beside the parking lot. To get a asphalt including driveway. I guess I think we were looking at partial of that, but yeah, that was my change too, so I don't know.
anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any notes for the change on the pickleball, but, my question around that was, because I've had this asked to me by a couple of people, when we build a new pickleball courts, what's happening with the tennis ball court or the pickleball court that's already there? We're gonna have, restarting I'm just saying.
I thought it would come out, my thoughts were, but
What do we?
you would remove it, I was thinking to go to tennis court, yeah. Well, it would be, because the pickleball it's both, it's a pickleball and tennis courts, it's not just.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm just saying there's a cost to that.
Yeah, yeah, the other idea was to refurbish the tennis court, which probably, which needs done, so. So the idea was to move it, just put a new one in and.
Here's what I'm suggesting is. Because I don't know how quickly we're gonna get moving on that over there. We already have. Kind of the setup up there. So I mean, if we want to move on the pickleball court, I'd be more in favor of refurbishing what's there now than building a brand new.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying because it makes that whatever we have there obsolete, right? And we've kind of put money into that. Now we're talking about putting a parking lot down there for that. Yeah, we're gonna rip out the pickleball court and the tennis court. So I mean.
You better leave more than 26,000 in there to refurbish that one.
Well,
Because
no, and that's, I'm
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm not talking about the money. I'm just saying
No,
in
no.
terms of, it doesn't make much sense for.
that does make
to build
sense.
Two
I
brand
agree.
new courts up here when we have a court down there that's. For my money, not really utilized a lot to begin with, right? So. And let's at least start getting that one used. And then obviously if it's booked, then we can expand and. But.
So part of the recreation master plan was to create a recreation field,
Mhm.
and that's where that was coming from. So rather than refurbish that one, the cost to refurbish that is probably gonna be 40 grand. Just looking at paving and stuff like that. So I think the idea was that might as well just move everything to the new sports field and start fresh. But I thought that one would be taken out because there's no sense, it's barely usable now. It's got so much damage into it. That's why nobody uses it. Everybody goes to Hastings. Because they've got an indoor whatever, but that was where it came from. But the pickleball thing is, like I say, it's been around for 3 or 4 years and it's one of the fastest growing things around, so.
No, and I appreciate that we're trying to. To bring amenities like that are, our ratepayers can use around here, but. At the same time, I don't want to build something that's just gonna sit there and collect dust and nobody's gonna use.
No.
Because we have one sitting up there now. That if you go and talk to the business owners up there because I'm not up there a lot, except when I drive to Campbellford. It's not used a whole lot, even in the summer.
Because it's a junk. Nobody wants to get their balls dirty on the thing because it's
I appreciate that, but I don't.
That's why, like, if you talk to the people that use it now, most of them are going other places because this one has seen its life. It's ever since we put the ramps, ever since we put the skateboard park in there, it totally ruined the surface. They put holes into the surface and that's why nobody uses it anymore because there's a lot of issues. So. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin. The conversation is actually great. Yes, people do use the tennis court, but cannot because of the black powder or black something anyway. So I think we need to make a decision here. I mean, because last year, that's all we talked about was making that baseball diamond park thing. And yet that isn't even on the agenda to go. So, and now we're gonna replace the pickleball. Okay, well then let's just replace the pickleball and move forward on this because talking about it, the years are going by. And I mean, people would like these things now, not 10 years from now. So if we could just move forward on it, it doesn't matter to me which way we go, whether we tear it down and we take it down to the other end or we leave it where it is. I mean, I already have thoughts for that part. But anyway, let's move forward, please.
Okay, so the things that are in here like when you say about the ball diamonds, and that's, you're right, we've talked about it for a few years now. They're in here in the sports complex recreation field, that's what that money is for. And that all came from our recreation master plan that we paid a lot of money for. So we finally are moving on it, that's why I was excited to see this stuff in here, because you're right. We've talked about it for years, and that's what we do a lot of. We need to get moving. Baseball has been bugging for this thing for, I don't know how many years, 3 years at least, that they're practicing and playing everywhere else because we don't have enough space. You know, so there's a lot of things in here that was planning from the past, and it's finally starting to move, and that's why I was excited to see this stuff in here, because we're finally, you're right, we talked about it a lot. So, Dave, Bob, and then Councillor Doherty.
Through you, Mayor Martin, just to clarify, the sports complex recreation field does, at least the preliminary plans do include a tennis/pickleball court. Having said that, that project is probably a year or two away to be completed.
So it's in the sports and complex and the tennis, what's the pickleball thing there? Like there's two separate lines there, what are you saying?
Yes, so the refurbishing of the pickleball court,
Is the 56?
I believe that's correct. I can let our supervisor of Parks and Recreation clarify. I may have that wrong.
Through you, Mayor Martin, $56,000 is the price to move the tennis pickleball court over to the sports complex field. So that is a replacement price. It is safe to say if we are to refurbish, it would be probably around 56,000 because it would, everything, the chain link fence would have to be replaced, the asphalt, and that's all there is to a tennis court. So I would say 56,000 would be also a refurbished price.
Okay, Councillor Doherty?
Through you, not to muddy the waters, but I thought last year when we approved the pickleball courts, there was a two-pronged approach. One was the west end, and then we were going to move it indoors to the arena so that we'd have a couple of courts there, which would get us over to get these other things done, or partially get us over it. That was taken off the table, and I haven't seen anything on that, and I don't know how it disappeared, but maybe Josh could enlighten us there. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Martin, to my understanding, as of the budget for 2023, it was in the budget book for a basketball court. And I do believe it was verbal that was going to be transferred over to indoor sports equipment. I was speaking with Bob about that about 2 months ago, and that wasn't actually official through council, so we didn't proceed with the purchase of $10,000 worth of indoor sports equipment.
Yeah, there was a $10,000 that was in the past budget from 2023 for the West End Park, and the manager of the day, we asked him about removing that, and he was going to bring it inside at the arena. Yeah, he was going to bring it inside the arena and do daytime. So I can go back to the video and watch it if you like.
That'd be a good idea. Maybe through you, Mr. But I thought it was a joint thing. It was fixing that and getting that. We're going to have a two things because it gets a little warm, and we thought that would create a cooler environment for them to play the pickleball. That's
okay. So,
I thought it had to do with basketball match too.
Yeah,
there was a combination because
They were gonna run a day program in there.
Yeah.
Big plans.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I believe this is all partially correct. There was a plan to have basketball nets and perhaps pickleball in the arena. Through the transition when our previous manager left us, there was short staff at the arena, and they were unable to accommodate coordinating this program. So perhaps with the overtime person now in the budget, we could revisit that.
Right.
So you, Mr. Mayor, so I'd just like to get a little clarity on that because there was a shot over the bow there. Was it in the budget? Was it officially in the budget? Did it officially get taken out? And if it is, did it go back into reserve and do we have the money set aside for this? That, I guess that's really the question. Thank you.
So that 10,000, Lionel, that was in there last year's budget that we discussed. Do you have any memory of that?
Future, it was approved. There's been a lot of discussion here, so this is. What was in last year's budget was West End Park basketball court. And that was what was approved, so. As far as anything else, changing that, I'm not aware of anything.
Okay. So it was left at the west end. The discussion though was about moving it indoor, taking that 10,000 and moving it indoor. And he would monitor it while he was in his office. But you know, if it's not there, it's not there. So so Josh has in here 26,000 for the pickleball. I guess that could be a stepping stone. It won't happen this year anyways, from what I hear. And the sports complex, we have 160 in there. So everything else is in there, and the parking lot is at 55. Right, Josh?
Through your chair, that is correct.
Okay. So the 26, you know, whatever it ends up getting used for, refurbishing the existing pickleball or whatever, it'll be a good start. So go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, and just to the point, like when we get back to the pickleball court, whether it's be refurbished there or we're building new up there, I was looking for clarification more in terms of trying to cut that. I'm okay with the 56,000 being in there, because I mean, it's something to, they said, until we do it, we're not gonna spend it. But moving on, if that's our plan, and the plan is to move that down there, then I would suggest that the West End concession parking lot be taken right off, because well, according to whatever, there's really gonna be nothing there, right? After we take the tennis court and the rest of it.
Well, the playground equipment.
Yeah, but we have ample park. We have, I think, 6 or 7 parking spots that are that. I mean, do we need more than 6 or 7? We need a full parking lot for a park that really isn't gonna be there anymore. Well, it's gonna be lessened in size, put it that way.
Through you, Mayor Martin. I understand all what you have said, Hart, but there are possibilities and other interests for that park in the whole park, not just a little piece of it.
But further to that, when we sold the medical center, that was a part of the negotiations, was that we would hold parking spots there for just in case.
Right.
And but feel free for people to email me, call me, stop me on the street. I don't have people stopping me telling me we have a lack of parking at that thing down there at the park. So
through you, Mayor Martin, the only thing I hear about parking is a pain in the butt. Why would you go to the medical center and get your kids out of the car seats and stroll them up, walk up the road to go into a park? And that entrance, that should be there. And just in case that MTO changes their mind and we can't have that entrance there. It should be done, it's out of the way, it's finished. Then you can make your plans or do whatever you want to do. Like, I'd still like to see a basketball court going and a pickleball, and more baseball diamonds, but right now, the council just seems to be stuck on all of them at once. Please just pick one and work on it and focus on that. If it's the arena we're gonna focus on for, what is it, basketball they want it down there, or weightlifting? I mean, we really do have to stick with something and stay with it and get it accomplished. I see other centers, they're just whipping them up like nothing, and I don't understand why we're still talking about this. And I mean, I get it. I don't see anybody using that tennis court either, but they can't use it. It's in disarray. I mean, it's just not possible to go there and play anything because of the cracks. And I mean, that's why people aren't there. And again, it's a pain in the butt if you have to go to that medical center to park and then you're walking over. It's just the way most people feel. Nobody wants to walk, okay? They want to pull in, they want to park, they want to get out and go. I
So,
mean, that's the way I see it.
so I think
So let's
along
move
with both
forward.
of you, I agree with both of you
agree.
here. I wouldn't want to see us put any money into that if we're gonna move it down to here. But that being said, I don't want the perception out there that that park isn't gonna have anything, because we're gonna fill that space with something else. It's not gonna be, we're not getting rid of the park. It's just that one piece of the park, and like you're saying, nobody uses it anyways. So we're not gonna miss any people that they're not going there anyways, but that park can be enhanced even more, you know, with something else. And, you know, the entrance, I thought we did talk about even just getting the entrance off of there while we have the permit. Get the entrance off of there, whether it's a full-fledged parking lot or what it looks like. And that's where that's where I had the 26,000 wrote down. I'm doing half of that, but that's fine. I agree with both of you. We need to just move on. Like, you know, we're wasting a lot of time here. I'm talking about stuff, and all we're doing is following our master plan that we spent a lot of money on. And
Hold on a second. Further to this, like if we're gonna look at this, great, like if our pot was bottomless, I'd go for everything here. But the fact is the way we're going here, we're not cutting anything. So when you take that 740, what are we left with in our reserve? If we take all this money outlined, Parks and Rec reserve was around $100,000 be left in that reserve. I don't think that's a healthy reserve at all for a department that size.
so the piece that's missing out of there that was discussed is about creating some lots along the 8th line, and that hasn't even come back into the mix. When the survey's done over there, hopefully there's gonna be some capability of putting 6 or 8 lots in there that would help us pay for this thing. But that's another piece of it that's not here, but it should be. So a part of the survey.
And the word you used was hopefully, in terms of we don't know, right?
No.
So. And
No,
that's
I don't know.
that's all I'm getting at is in terms of moving forward here. I don't want to break the bank this
No.
year with a whole bunch of wish list things and have nothing left. We still have an addition on the rink
That's
that we
right.
haven't talked
We haven't
about,
got to that.
that we've got grant money.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a considerable chunk of money that's gonna have to go in there, probably could equal the amount of everything in here.
Yeah.
So, and that's all I'm asking council is, you know, be wary of, you know, it's nice to have all these things, but we gotta have the money to pay for it.
Okay.
All right.
Follow up. That.
Just through you, Mayor Martin. We should be careful about eliminating the tennis court. I don't think people want to see that gone completely, like right now. If we're gonna build it somewhere else, that tennis court, it has to be up and operational while the other one is being built. Because the residents feel like they've got this tennis court and now we're just gonna take it away. Are we gonna build another one? Yes, but not for another 5 years. So that doesn't make sense to me to just pick it up and get rid of it. We will have a lot of people upset about that. So repairs have to be done to that so that we can at least play pickleball or tennis or whatever they want to do. So those repairs have to be done to it until we get it going on the other end. Jim, I understand what you're saying, but we can't take away from our residents.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant.
But that's how you've talked already.
No, I
I'm
mean,
gonna get
if we
big.
build the other one, you would take away that one. I didn't mean take it away before you get to the one, but I understand.
Yeah, I understand.
I wouldn't do that.
Thank you.
So yeah, I had Lionel and then Jerry.
Through Chair, I was just responding to the deputy mayor's question, the balance in the reserve, if everything was approved, would be 122,000.
Let's knock this down a bit. So, okay, Dr. Doherty, go ahead.
Through Mayor, on that point. When we got the $5 million grant, 5.2 or whatever, our portion was what, 27% the municipality had to pay. It's my understanding of asking the question numerous times that we have put our 27% away to finish that project. So how could our reserve be 122 when we have 27% of $1.2 million and we haven't spent a lot of money on the arena yet? Just a matter of clarity, that's all.
Through Chair, that's the amount of money that is available for other projects. the amount for the arena would already be taken out of that since it's committed, so. 122 would be what's left in the reserve.
Mine, yeah, because our 27% has already been allocated. So. Okay, so what's Josh's presented here? There sounds like there's some changes here to do. For everybody to be comfortable, so. What's your thought there? Like, because right now, well, the tractor's not in there, right, Josh, or it's in there?
To your chair, we haven't removed that item yet.
Okay. So that's everything in there, Lionel. It brings it down to 100 and some thousand. If everything was passed, that's in there right now.
If everything is passed as it is in the book, it would be down to 122,000 of uncommitted money.
So the parkland reserve, I always bring that up, and I don't know, it has specifics that you can use it for. This is all out of the Parks and Rec capital. But that parkland reserve is still there too, that we get for severances and things like that, but maybe it can't, it's specific, there's specifics it can be used for. And I don't think we've went into it, have we? For these parks?
Your chair, there hasn't been anything in this capital budget on page 106. The only thing in the notes, the only source in the notes column is the Parks Reserve, so.
Yeah.
Parkland Reserve Funds currently has a $97,000 balance.
Oh, okay. Okay. So. Up to council here, like, like it is running at that reserve down pretty low, so. If there's anything you wanna change there, now's the time. If you're gonna.
So I appreciate your comments about the reserve getting low. That's mainly what I'm concerned about. As I said, we'd all like to have all these projects, and I'm sure everybody in the community would like to have them, but we only have so much money in the pot. So I'll start with to me, I don't know, whatever. This doesn't have to be discussions between council, because to me, if we're leaving the pickleball money in there, whether we're refurbishing or going ahead, then the West End parking lot is either out or knocked down considerably. Because I don't know how I can justify putting in a parking lot where I'm taking out amenities at the same park, right? And I understand in terms of moving forward that we're gonna do things there. So that's what I'm saying, maybe we allocate 10 or 15 towards it now to plan towards the future. But if we're going with the 56 and the 160 to move the sports complex up on here on the Mary Street, then as I said, that 55,000 can be looked at next year, the year after, or whenever. Probably once we get that field up and running.
Yeah.
Because we already have a lease agreement for parking there, like it's people can still use that park with parking at no cost. I realize it's not the greatest to have to walk across the bridge, but I'm sorry, I can't help that. They took the bridge out years ago, and that's the way it is, so.
Okay. So that one, do you want to do these one-offs, like the parking lot? If you want to make that a motion that you want to remove that from there, that can be done. And see where it goes. That's the easiest way to do it here.
Oh, I'm here.
Let's take a few things out.
Oh, I was just saying, I'm here, like I've heard from council, so I'm here, I
Yeah.
hear that, and I respect in terms of, pre-planning and looking forward, so I respect your comments in terms of, maybe we will have something different there. All I'm saying is, by the sounds of it, it's not gonna be within the next 5 or 6, or at least 5 or 6 years before something gets there. So I suggest maybe we put 10,000 or 15,000 in there, so you can start it.
Yeah.
And it's there. We're not, I guess until we spend it, we're not really spending it.
Yeah, we'll do these one at a time.
Okay.
So, Councilor Clement, go ahead.
Can I ask one question, please? So we have a permission from the MTO for that entrance. How long is that good for?
It was the county actually that we got the permission from, the MPO, but anyway, so it's probably, I don't know, I wouldn't want to guess.
Let's say, can they come back next year and say, okay, now we're not gonna give you the entrance? Like,
Oh, anything's possible. Yeah,
okay, so I sort of lean towards, I worry too, about losing the access into there. Like that was just the question I was thinking about, how long do we have to use this right away into there? That was my question.
and I've said that before, the entrance at least would be nice to get in there, and I think the thing I brought up last time is that outhouse sitting out on the sidewalk. I mean, the reason it's there is because they can't get in the park. So if there was an entrance, even if they had to drive on the grass to get to the outhouse, at least if the entrance is up County Road 30 there and a gate on there, that's at least there's something access to the park, even to go in there and work. Right now, it's they can get their lawnmower in or in, but the entrance would be nice to put there, and like you said, 15,000 or something like that, knocking it down there. That I would think that 15 would get us started. I don't know though. We're way over our head on this thing, but we're not engineers and construction guys. We're just our people. We're just trying to justify things. But
Was there ever an entrance in there before?
I don't think so.
There used to be the bridge over the creek.
Yeah.
So as you came from the parking lot, you could walk over the bridge. You didn't have to walk
Right.
back out to the street to go over the bridge.
Okay, so my next thing is off Highway 30, County Road 30, with the creek running along the side of the road through the ditch there. Are we able to put an entrance? Is there?
Yeah, like it was all done. That part of it was,
No.
yeah, they already looked at it
Okay.
and approved it.
Well, then I agree. I think we should at least get the entrance in there.
So that goes along with what Deputy Mayor is saying. If you put some in there, like 15,000 or whatever, I don't know if that's enough, but it's it probably would take a chunk to take that piece of railing out and open up the entrance into the park. What's that?
Sorry, is it really not open? There's just a stone there?
It could
It's really
be.
the
I
curb,
think
I
there is
think,
a
that we.
stone. I think it's just a stone there, so, but, that would knock 40,000 off of that one number there. So, go ahead.
Maybe, Mr. Mayor, and in order to move this along, I'd like to get the entranceway resolved or find out whether that permit is in perpetuity. It's one or the other. That I'd be okay with that in it. And then we can make a decision on the park later on, because we don't need a parking lot there for right now. It's the entrance. I'm just, if that permit is in perpetuity, I'm okay with shoving it on to another day. The other thing we're talking about here is the pickleball courts, the recreational fields and everything. To me, we're kind of doing this a little bit backwards. We haven't really established what our priorities are. Are we proceeding with the field down there and what we got to do? Because if we knew where we were going, we'd have a better chance of maybe trimming some of this off.
So I think the sports complex part of it there, we decided that a long time ago as far as baseball diamonds. That's what that is, right? The sports complex ball diamonds, and was decided a few years ago. We just didn't have a place until this year. Last year, we decided that was going to be the spot.
I don't, it might have been on the agenda before. There was no decision made up until last year when we actually got count staff to do the designation and made a decision on where we were going. This isn't a 5-year-old thing. This is last year's decision that we were going to look at the thing and move it out. I don't know what the talks were before, but this is the first time I think I've seen it on the
The
agenda.
2019 master plan that we did, that everybody has seen, that's what we're working from. And that's where the location was suggested, but we didn't have a place until last year. We decided that that's where we would look at. But this is all coming out of that. That's where it all was decided. We didn't just think it off the top of our head. It was from that plan. So But anyways, you know what? It's lunchtime. I'm gonna suggest that we take a recess till 1:30 and come back. Your thoughts here, if somebody, moved by Councillor Doherty that we take a recess. So it's moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement, all in favor?
Well, maybe we should finish up Josh.
Well, this is gonna.
That's, okay, it's not capital, okay.
No.
Sorry, Josh.
Josh, can you come back at 1:30 and yes, leave it running until we're finished here, so we need to get this stuff together, and I think if there's anybody online there, we will be back at 1:30 if you wish to carry on, so. Okay, all in favor of the recess? Carries. Okay, welcome back, everyone, and we'll look for a motion to resume the meeting where we left off. So moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, so Josh, we're still in the Park and Rec capital. Oh,
Yep.
There you are. I lost you for a second there, Josh.
Oh, great. To you, Chair, may I apologize in advance if my attention is taken away briefly. I am currently also supervising the public skate.
Okay. All right then, so where were we at here? Do you want to start at the top and go down, or of all these items? I think we should do them individually, and that way it's a little easier to keep track of. So, all right, so what do you want? Go ahead.
We're starting at the top then.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe you brought this up before for clarification. So the sports complex recreation field is the price of the new pickleball courts included in that.
I didn't think it was, but Josh? What's that 160 include for the sports complex recreation field?
To you, Mayor Martin, as far as I know, the 160 includes the development of that property and 2 baseball diamonds.
Okay.
Okay, and then you said, sorry, through you, Mr. You said, Josh, that the 56 would cover the cost of building a new pickleball court at the sports complex place and removing the old, or not, maybe not removing, but
Relocating.
relocating.
Through you, Mayor Martin, so the 56,000 would be the price for it, creating a new pickleball tennis court at the sports complex recreation field.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So. And then the West End Park parking lot. So let's start keep at the top there. Do you want that in or out? I guess that's the easiest way. We'll go through these things in or out and see where we end up. So
that's the relocation of the pickleball court thing. We should take that.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Want to vote on?
Yeah. I wanted to, yeah, one way or the other. Where are we at with the pickleball court? Is it in or out?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You had your hand up first.
Go ahead.
I would say leave it in, but reduce it down to 25,000 or something. Because we really don't know what it's gonna cost. It's gonna be part and parcel of the overall. That's my suggestion, but the rest of the folks think.
Okay. So, okay.
For the question through you, Mr. Mayor, for clarification, is this something that would be done this year? What's it?
Yeah, speak up, that's all. Yeah, you.
Is this something that could be done this year?
Through you, Mayor Martin, the prospective property is not developed yet, so I can't see it being done this year. Relocating, we could, if you wish to refurbish in the same location, it could be possibly done this year if we get in early enough for that through the tendering process.
But I'm hearing though that the plan is to build new ones, right? So, okay, So it probably, in all likelihood, as you said, it won't be done this year. So, yeah, that's, I would still like to commit some dollars to it, but I mean, I get Councilor Doherty's point in terms of maybe splitting it up, but as I said, I think there should be something there if we're moving ahead with this, so.
Okay, Councilor Clement?
Through your mayor, Josh, will the sports complex baseball fields, will they be done this year? Can we get this done by? At all?
Not to
Nothing?
use,
Nothing?
it should make the fall use.
All?
Maybe.
It'll be a contract.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I'm going to rely on Sue, Bob to chime in on that. I honestly am not sure on
Okay,
the progress of that.
Through you, Mayor Martin, the sports complex recreation fields is a complicated project that for the moment involves 2 ball diamonds, potentially tennis and pickleball courts, and potentially any other amenities we might want to put there, which could include washrooms, lights, etc. So highly unlikely that that project will be completed this year. The first item for the project is a survey. We've received a quotation for that survey of $25,500. That's the first item. And if we get approval today to proceed with that, the project will begin. I don't know when the survey will be completed, given that there's snow on the ground now. That survey probably won't be completed till spring. And then we will receive the survey and then determine what can be done there. As you had mentioned earlier today, Mayor Martin, possibly developing a lot or 2 or 3 at that site. That's another item that would have to be investigated and explored, and we would have to determine the costs and how that would be serviced, etc. So starting with a survey, we'd probably get that in the spring. So very unlikely this project would be done this year.
Go ahead, follow up.
so in that case, Bob, if we get the survey, spring is only 2 months away. According to the rodent, so. Well, that's true. So anyways, if we can get the survey done, then the next step is, it comes back to us, we decide, do you think we could get the ball diamonds in by fall for, like, at least get something accomplished, like this year?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we would certainly have to consult with our partners on this project, which is Let Architect. They would give us a proper timeline as to what could happen after the survey. And again, it would depend on what we're asking them to do at that site. So if it's simply a ball diamond, potentially could be done. I'm not sure yet. They would have to tell us that.
Well, is that a follow-up?
Yes, it's a follow-up, sorry.
Okay.
So, if they decide that we've got 2 ball diamonds here and a tennis court here and a washroom there, can we not at least have that plan laid out, but start with the ball? Like, have the whole thing laid out. We start with our ball diamonds and work forward with staffing or whoever's gonna do the work as it goes along, but at least get a portion of it completed. Like, it doesn't have to be all done at one time, does it?
No,
It's not good. That's not part of the plan.
No, through you, Mayor Martin, it doesn't have to all be done at one time, at the same time. We could certainly ask to have a concept plan created for us. Again, depending on what amenities we want to have there.
Okay.
Deb? You lost it? Well, so the key thing here is that the money is there, that, you know, and it's in the reserve. If they can access it, like you say, if the survey is done in the ball diamonds, even if they're not done till the fall, at least they could start in the spring. The ball club has been bugging for quite a few years. They know they're not gonna get on it this year, but if we leave it till the next year, they're not getting on it next year either. So there is hopefully there's a way of getting the diamonds in place. The other things with it, I think, like you're saying, and we might not have it all done together, but
No, yeah, my understanding was, to your point, is that, yeah, no, we could start with construction of 2 ball fields and then move from there.
Okay.
it is a kind of a tight timeline, but I think it's something that we could get started. I think what we should be aiming for, as the mayor just stated, is letting the local baseball group know that it'll be ready for them. I guess it would be in the spring of 2025, right? Which still means we got a lot of work to do this year, because obviously we know we can't do a whole lot of work through next winter, but it would be nice if we could achieve that for the baseball group, if we could get that, you know, up and running, if not at the very start of 2025, in the first month or two of 2025. Because we are making, but further to that, we are, I think, further down the list. I don't know if it's in here yet. We are upgrading the diamond over here for this year, right? So hopefully that will hold them over for one. I know it's not gonna help them deal with space, but.
Okay, Deb?
Right, through you, Mayor Martin. I'm agreeing with all statements being made. So going forward, is there a motion that needs to be needed to go forward with the, what do you call it?
While you're thinking of that, let's do the pickleball then, like this fits right in with the pickleball, the 25,000. If everybody's okay with that, that has something on the table for it to work towards. It's not.
Okay, so 32.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just three. The 56,000, Josh, is that, you had a pricing on that? Is that how we come up with 56? Is it, that's the estimate in terms of?
Brand new.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's the actual cost.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I had Scott Saunders from Drains come on location, and I had that quoted out for $56,000.
That's the entire court, fencing, everything?
That is fencing and asphalt, yeah,
Okay.
and ground prep for that also is in there.
Okay, thank you for that, Josh.
You're welcome.
What was the number? 25?
Yeah, 25.
Okay, well. I was gonna suggest 28, which is half, right? Which isn't a big deal, but then I was gonna say it's probably gonna go up, so I was gonna say put 30, and then we can put 30 in next year, because it's probably gonna be by the time we get to it. No,
It's up to you.
I don't know, I'm just,
I'm fine with that.
it's either this year or next year anyway, so.
Okay, so who's making that motion then? Beth, did you?
I just have one question for that. So the pickleball court, tennis court, is it usable in the spring? Can you still play tennis down at the park?
Through you, Mayor Martin, you can. People were complaining when we had it resealed, and we had the lines filled with the rubbers, and then it was resealed in black. Since then, over last winter, we've had a lot of that black come off, so there has been no problem the later end of last year of playing there. So to answer your question, yes, you can use that. You can use that in the spring. The existing, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just a number for there, I think Jerry, you suggested the 25,000, was it you that suggested or?
Yes, 25, I
So
suggested 30.
whatever you want, we'll just get a motion.
Give it to you, give it to him. I'm fine with 30. If we need to move on, either reduce it down or get rid of it or half it, or 30 is fine with me. And I didn't make a motion, it was just a.
Yeah, so I'll make the motion.
And
So
I
moved by
second the
Deputy
motion.
Mayor Webb, and seconded by Councilor Doherty, that we leave 30,000 in there towards pickleball court construction. All in favor? And that's carried. So the next is the sports field complex, or sports complex recreation field. To get moving on that, even if it's at the end of the year, we're working, I think it almost needs to be there, but I'll look for a motion. Moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. Questions, comments? Go ahead.
To you, Mayor Martin. So is this the part where we have a motion to have the survey done and completed?
Yes, that's correct.
This is the same, okay.
Yes, it is.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried. Okay, West End concession parking lot. There was a suggestion earlier at 15,000. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just move it, we cut that number from 55 to 50.
Okay, 15,000 towards the opening there. seconded by Counselor Doherty. Any questions on that one? All in favor? And that's carried. The dog park fencing. 55,000,
That was already cut to 15,000.
okay. 15,000 to investigate, whatever, okay. All right,
Was that a motion?
no, that's what I'm gonna get now.
Yeah.
Moved by.
Yeah.
Okay, and do I have a seconder for that? Yeah, seconded by Counselor Doherty. All in favor? Carried. Caboose, we discussed, taking it out. Okay. Do we need a motion to remove it?
Let's do
Yeah,
that. please.
motion to remove the caboose. Pond, yeah, move the caboose. Okay, moved by Counselor Clement, seconded by Counselor Flagler. Questions? Yeah,
So, do we need a little money if we're gonna put some landscaping in there, like a small garden or something? Where we could put London? We need a little bit of money there.
Josh?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we will be able to create a garden with parks operating funds.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thanks. So we had a mover and seconder, did we do all in favor?
No, not yet.
What, no move?
No, go ahead. We have moved by Counselor Clement, seconded by Counselor Flagler.
Right, okay.
Yeah, okay. All in favor? Carried. All right, so the next item here is the Ball Diamond Field grade elevation, which is something that has to be done, so. Motion to leave that in, moved by Counselor Clement, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? Carried. Decorative banners, 3,500. So motion to leave it in, or
Yeah.
Counselor Clement, Counselor Doherty, all in favor? Carried. Parks utility tractor. There's no discussion on that yet, so go ahead.
Yes, regarding your parks utility tractor, do you have a tractor right now that grades the baseball park diamond? Like, is your tractor okay for this year, Josh, is what I'm asking?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we have been using a lawn tractor with a drag mat, like a screen. We do our best with what we have to work with. We've been doing that my whole career here, so I'm sure one more year won't hurt. It's not honestly ideal for maintenance. Since we've done new trails in the Matheson property, the idea was to take care of our trails with that tractor. That tractor would also be used in fall and spring cleanups. Anything that we can use that piece of equipment for, we will. If council wishes to remove that, we will be adding that in for next year. It is a desired piece of equipment, would be very beneficial to the department.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
So Josh, question for you, if you were gonna use it to like fix up the Matheson Trail paths or keep them maintained, how are you gonna do that this year? With what?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we would have to rely on our contract services.
It's here,
Okay.
yeah. So, what's your thoughts? It is a great thing. I don't like, like we've heard, we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us, but it is something that's, I know in the past councils, some of us have been trying to get one of these things into the Parks Department for quite a few years, but is this the year? I don't know. It's up to, I know. Yeah.
Just a question in terms of, you referenced grading trails and whatnot, Josh. How often do you, like, say this past summer, how often were the trails graded in Matheson property?
Through you, Mayor Martin, they weren't.
Okay. And then just sort of further to that, moving forward, say if that would, say we were gonna contract that out to somebody as a need be basis. So I said, I don't know if it sounds like we didn't have it done last year, maybe it only needs to be done, say, once a year. Do you have any idea on what the cost of that would be? I know, I apologize for not asking you this before the meeting, but
Through you, Mayor Martin, I don't, but I can definitely get a price on that.
because I'm just figuring, like, and I don't know the price, maybe it's $10,000 or $15,000, but I'm thinking it's probably more like a couple thousand. And I think we can get an awful lot of grading done over there, you know, by contracting it out as opposed to, well, we could get 15 gradings done for it's $3,000 a piece. So, you know, that might be a better way to go instead of, because once we take it, once again, asset management is, you know, firing up here next year. So when we take this into the fleet, this is something that's going to go on as a replacement cost too moving forward. So.
Okay, Bev.
Right, through you, Mayor Martin. I'm agreeing with what Deputy Webb is stating. I think possibly for this year and next year, maybe the year after, when you have the new park, the baseball diamond over there, then maybe it would be more sensible to get another tractor for you. Does that sound okay with you?
Through you, Mayor Martin, yep, we can do that.
For you, the roads department has no tractor or anything that we could use for, they have no equipment that we could draw on for, oh, sorry. Counselor Commence says we don't have, it, so I'm done with the question, thanks.
Yeah, there's nothing, no, that's there.
Through you, Mayor Martin, no, the roads department doesn't have a suitable piece of equipment for that.
Okay, so motion to remove that from this year's budget. Tractor,
I guess I'll make that motion.
okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councilor Doherty, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the replacement, for the 2004, we decided we would leave that in at the last meeting. I don't know where that's at, or we would leave it out.
Deferred,
Okay.
deferred, didn't we?
Yeah, we would remove that from the new truck. I have it that we scratched out the new truck and we're gonna hang on to the 2004 for another year. So. Once everybody's still on that same page. Okay. Motion then.
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconder. Councilor Clemens. All in favor? Carried. Cordova Christmas lights. Nice to see that you're including Cordova in there. It's been lots of good feedback from it going up Concession Street farther, so. So the Christmas lights there.
Make a motion, leave them in.
Leave them in. Seconder. Councilor Clement, all in favor? It's carried. Community center standby generator, $40,000. Is that what you were talking about, Josh, when you were saying you didn't have a firm price on it? It was just, or was that, what was I mistaken there?
To you, Mayor Martin, so we are, we've applied to a grant for up to $50,000 that can go towards a unit. I received a quote there. I received a quote for a diesel generator and they have a 24-hour life on a tank of fuel. So that's not really feasible in the event of an emergency. So I'm re-quote for a natural gas, and that's up to around 90. We also have to update our service coming into the building from inch pounds to foot pounds to support that.
So what's the 40,000 cover then?
40,000 is to
Plus 50, plus the grant.
Oh, okay, I got you. Thank you.
you're welcome.
But sorry, further, Josh, do you have any, you referenced the upgrades to the natural gas or whatever, do you have any idea of what that cost would be?
Through Mayor Martin, I was speaking with Enbridge, and it's a complicated it's a complicated process, and I've started about 3 weeks ago about that, speaking with the generator company in a neighboring municipality. So say Workworth had to do the same thing, and it was about $30,000 for them.
For the gas line?
It's called a natural gas station. It's in the early stages of communication with them, understanding, but it's quite a substantial upgrade. It's a different process. It's not just a bigger pipe. It's from my understanding, it's an outside unit that would be on its own pad with bigger regulators and a bigger line off of King Street to feed that, and then a bigger line into the facility to support that.
Yeah.
So to answer the original question, $40,000 originally tagged on with the 50 is going to come close to having that.
Okay.
If we're not successful with the $50,000 grant, at least this year for budgeting, we have 40, and be prepared to see another contribution for next year.
Okay, Councillor Doherty?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So it's the 40, the 50, and the 30, if we're going natural gas. So it's 120 as opposed to a 90. The total cost I'm talking about.
It's through you, Mayor Martin. I'm not 100% sure on when this 30 was spent, if this was pre-COVID or not. That was just a price that the generator salesman had told me that Workworth had spent. We're not at that stage yet with Enbridge to see what that true cost would be. That true cost will come in a department update once I have that.
Well, I'm a little confused here, so help me out. So, okay, let's say we get the grant, we buy the generator, now we sit it down there and we got no gas for it, if that's what we're going with. That's the question is we got the generator, we already have a water dispenser like that, so we don't need another one. But if we have that there, we're going to need to hook it up to something, and we're going to need a cost to do that. It's $30,000. We're going away from diesel because it was expensive or didn't have enough capacity or whatever, because I just need a little clarity as to what this actually means. Sorry.
Through you, Mayor Martin, we weren't sure on the price when we got everything, all of our quotes ready for the for this year's budget. It was news to me later on in the fall that we would have to upgrade our gas service. I wasn't aware of that. When I had the generator guy come out, that was something that we had discussed. And then I was quoted a diesel unit because it was cheaper. After speaks with staff, it didn't make sense to have a diesel unit that only had a 24-hour runtime. So in the event of an emergency, you'd have a truck coming every day. As far as natural gas, it would be just continuous. So that was the direction, and we weren't 100% sure on how much that would cost at that time.
Oh, I think with the question here, like, so the 40 plus if the grant is successful, do you think there's enough there to move ahead with this, or are we still gonna be looking for another 30?
To you, Chair, I do believe that we could possibly be looking at another 30, if not a little bit more. That would be something that would be for next year's budget. That information came after.
Yes, but there's a lot of unknowns here. Makes it really hard to make a real good decision here. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin. So my understanding is the arena is gonna have a generator. So if my power goes out, I can go to the arena. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor Martin, that is correct.
Right. Now, I have lived here for quite a few years, and the only time that I recall power being out for more than a day was that blackout time that we had, and it was 3 or 4 hours. I'm just not understanding where this is covered. I think, I don't know, like the natural gas one sounds really good, but the high cost of connecting all that, plus it's gonna run so much every month, which is gonna be a continual cost per year. I'm not sure, because I don't know how I can weigh out, and because we're presuming that we're going to lose our electricity. I mean, we live in town.
That's only town though, like we're looking at the whole township.
Yes, I understand that. I
So it
do.
was out 2 years ago and we were letting people have showers there, but if it had
Do you
been,
have showers in the arena, Josh?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we have 4 shower stalls in the change rooms. We were running showers for people that had lost their power in the storm.
Right, so the added cost with natural gas, would a generator not work better? Like, I understand it only runs for 24 hours. But would that not be a better option, or are you gonna keep the arena open 24 hours during a power outage?
Through you, Mayor Martin, in the event of an emergency, in this facility was sort of a place where people go to seek the shelter and minimal amenities, then yes, there would be a 24/7 staff rotation to support that.
yeah, it's all for emergency. measures,
Yeah,
but-
no, I get the
Yeah.
emergencies, and I
That is-
want to be prepared for the emergency. I'm just thinking that the natural gas generator is an overkill for the emergencies. I mean, if we had a diesel one, I don't know, like, that's my opinion, because I doubt if we'll even use it. Let's knock on wood, because I don't want power to go out.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor Woody.
So yeah, just further to that, Josh, to Councillor Flagler's point / question. Ideally, the gas one, as you said, is better. It's kind of, I guess, it sounds like the Cadillac of generators, but would the diesel get us through a situation? You know, like, is it enough for us to meet the standards of what we need to do over there to run the rink in an emergency situation? Like, ideally, it'd be nice to have the gas generator, but as she said, so it's not gonna be used a lot, so if we could get by with the diesel at a lower cost and still have the same effect, I think, could you answer that?
So through you, Mayor Martin, I can't speak for the fuel delivery company that they can make it here every 24 hours to keep our generator running if we are at a certain amount of time in need. Staff had just thought that a natural gas with a continuous supply would be the appropriate approach here.
So. Yeah, the diesel, like if we have this 40,000 in there and then if the grant is successful. If we find that I think the topic of discussion will be if you come back and say we need another 30, we're gonna have to decide how much $30,000 is gonna pay for diesel fuel. You know, in an emergency, maybe at that time, like if it's left in here, we can still go ahead with it, but that other 30 is gonna be a topic of discussion for council. Do we go diesel or do we go gas? Go ahead.
Yeah, and just to like keeping things going. Chances are we're gonna need this 40, even if we go with the
That's
diesel.
yeah.
So why don't I'd make a motion that we just leave the 40 there and we can address whether we're going diesel or gas.
Yeah, leave it up to the next.
Council meeting.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb.
Oh, are we gonna get a second, or then I have a question, or can I have a question?
You can have a question. Normally we get a second. Go ahead.
I don't want to break from normalities.
You want to second it and then talk to the
Not
motion?
at all.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Seconded by,
I'm gonna do it.
yeah, seconded by Council Flagler. Okay, Council Doherty's got the motion.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Josh, two questions is, number one, if we buy this and would prefer to go natural gas, but we want to use diesel for year 1 and 2, does it make any difference? Oh, sorry,
No, I'm just.
Counselor Clemens answer that, we can't do that, or we can't?
No, I'm just thinking, are we gonna waste money if we do that, Terry? That's my only thought. Like, I would think we'd go one way or the other.
I don't think, if I may, Mayor, the question was, can it, or do you need another unit that, because when you buy a barbecue, you buy one with natural
Yeah.
or thing, is it convertible, I guess, to give us an option? That's all I'm thinking is if we decide to go. And the second thing, is there anything that we're going to be doing with these renovations for the rink that we could use that extra connection that Enbridge is going to be bringing in? Like, is it single purpose? I guess is what my question is. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Martin. So for your first question, Councillor Doherty, the unit is not convertible. It would either be a natural gas unit or a diesel unit. If we were to purchase a diesel unit and then want a natural gas unit, you would be, we would have to purchase a natural gas unit.
Okay.
For your second question, I had a big enough unit quoted out to support an expansion of what is planned.
Okay,
Thanks, Josh.
so for today's, if we leave it in there, before you buy it, though, we'll know a lot more information and then you'll bring it back to council. Like one way or another, we're probably gonna need this, whether it's diesel or gas. We'll get some more information, and in the meantime, we'll probably have more information on the arena, what kind of expansion is gonna be there if there is one. So, okay, so the motion is on the floor. Any other questions? All in favor? Oh,
Yeah. Just one, Jim. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Josh, for the gas generator, if we could have just a clearer picture on what the actual costs are, like for next meeting or next time we talk about this. And I'd like to know also what the cost would be for a full year, even if we don't use it. That because I think that is a big deal. That's money kind of not wasted, but that we're using, that we're not using. It's kind of an odd thing. All right. Thank you, John.
Understandable. You're welcome.
okay, all right then, so all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, next item is precast concrete stairs and railing. And that is for the corner of the building. So I don't know whether that's really, unless something happens with the design of, if there's an addition, you know, depending on where it is, but for right now, that has to be replaced this year. If things are staying as they are, it's crumbling, so. So I think it has to stay in there. So 15,000 would stay in there, moved by Councillor Clement, seconder.
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry.
Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder. Questions around that? All in favor? It's carried. Okay, and then the Cordova rink repairs, with that grant and the other things that were needed there. It was lowering the one part there down to 150 from 200. Motion to approve that part. Moved by Councillor Clement. Seconder, Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? Like carried. Okay, and one thing I brought up earlier that I don't see in here is the plow harness I was suggesting, but I had some other things around. So, but anyways, the plow harness thing of $3,000 for your truck there, Josh, to help out. I had mentioned that in another part of the budget, but for this part here, it would be helpful if there was a backup truck there to, and even if you could help plow around your place there sometimes, you know, like if some things get really bad, at least we have a backup. You got a truck that'll do it. We just don't have that little piece on the front. So what's council's thoughts anyways, as far as $3,000 towards the one that you're selling had that piece on it. The 11 that's up on Gov Deals right now had one.
Yes.
So Kathy,
So through your Mayor, so Josh, can you get a harness for 3,000? Like, do you know the approximate price of the harness?
Through you, Mayor Martin, I do not. I can definitely investigate.
do you think it would be more than 3,000 or would 3,000 cover it?
Through you, Mayor Martin, I would have to reach out with Public Works staff. They typically purchase those items. They'll have a better idea than I would.
I did check it out. Yeah.
I'll make a motion behind to this.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb that we add the 3,000 for the plow harness. For your existing truck. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Clement. Questions, comments? Go ahead, your light's still on.
Yeah. To you, Mayor Martin. So I believe in Public Works, they have 2 trucks with plows. And you asked Peter to get an extension on there.
No, we didn't do it for that.
You didn't do it for Public Works, so now you're asking Josh to put it on his brand new truck that he got last year? Is that the truck that you're putting this plow on, or is it a different truck, Josh?
Yeah.
Through you, Mayor Martin, it would be put on the brand new truck, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
It's just to make better use of the truck.
I understand better use, but I also know that plows on a truck, it definitely depreciates it, or not depreciates it, makes the length of it shortened
Okay.
with it being a brand new truck.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Gary, go ahead.
Mr. Ed, so maybe this is a public works question, but we're putting the harness on. Do we have a plow for it? And does it fit?
Yeah, that's what it would be. They have a spare plow at the Public Works.
It's through you, Mayor Martin. The truck that we have up on Gov Deals, 1142, come with a Boss V blade. Public Works didn't put that back on that truck for sale. They requested to keep that as a backup for them. In the event that they blow a hydraulic line or what have you, they were able to hook up and keep doing what they're doing. So the way that I'm seeing things is, in the event that we need it, we would hook the old plow up that come with 1142 and onto our truck.
So there's a mover and a seconder that it's on there. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so that's all I have here other than the facility. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Couple things that weren't brought up, I don't think they were included in the budget. I know we've talked about it, is town hall. Moving forward on town hall, I see we didn't allocate any money towards that. Learned about that, I was wondering if council was open to the idea of. I know we don't know exactly where we're going, but we know we'll be somewhere, I believe, with it. So, kind of a note to the public that we haven't forgotten about this is, I mean, I think if we put something in there, as I said, we don't know exactly what we're gonna do there and what the scope of that's gonna be. A lot of that will be obviously decided probably through public meetings, but I think it'd be nice to show the public, as I said, that at least through the budget process, we are committed to this and we're forward with it now. In terms of a number, I'm open to any suggestions, but I think it'd be nice to at least allocate some dollars towards that project.
So the assessment of the building is happening this year, is it, Bob? The facility assessment, is that happening on all buildings or is it the town hall or what is it?
Through you, Mayor Martin, there was a facilities assessment is taking place as part of our asset management plan. I'm not sure. Supervisor and Parks and Recreation, I think that building has been done. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Josh.
That's true, you, Mayor Martin. That is correct. We have had a guy come in and he had taken pictures of inside and outside through asset management.
Yeah, so like even if there was something like 10 grand or something put in there that we can do some.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, and again, our partners at Let Architect, they are waiting direction on this item. So they're waiting to receive some feedback from council and the community as to what work we would like done at that building, and then they can provide a costing for us.
But for a number today that you would want in here, Bob, what? If we're all just pulling stuff up,
Yeah.
pulling it out of the air, but. Jerry, go ahead.
So we see if we aren't spending any money on the town hall, I think we just approved what, a $5,000 furnace?
Yeah.
We're talking about putting air in there. We put new windows in there. We are doing it, but I agree, we should be putting something. If we're gonna keep the building, we gotta keep the maintenance on it, but we are putting money into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we put a lot
So
in.
I don't think, you know,
No, it's just a show, like if it's $10,000 even, like, you know, like if something pops up over the year.
I would suggest 50. Now, where that
Okay.
comes from, I don't know. I would defer to the treasurer for guidance on that.
For you, Chair, we have in our facilities reserve 145,000.
50 from there.
50? I'll make that motion then.
Okay, by Deputy Mayor Webb, they can look at $50,000 to for anything that comes up at the town hall. Councilor Doherty,
I just seconded it.
you seconding it? Okay, all right, seconded by Councilor Doherty. One question?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. I'm kind of adding on to Bob's comment, that, LT is waiting for a reply from us about what we want done
Yeah,
there.
that's correct.
I believe, I know I've had ideas, and I'm sure every council member here has ideas. So how do we move that forward so we can get that process going? I'm not understanding how to move this process along.
Through you, Mayor Martin, there's different ways to move this process forward. If council wishes, we can invite Let Architect back to discuss this matter and receive direction from council. Or if council wishes to come up with a plan, in which case we can then forward that to Let Architect.
So
It's whatever council would like to do.
So for today, if it's in the budget, it's like for budget purposes, if that's in there. That's gonna be the next step, is council will be making a suggestion. There would be a motion come forward at a future meeting on how we're gonna move forward with it. If this is in here, we know what we have to work with. So. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So.
No, just further to you, I was gonna say, we're just allocating the money, we're not necessarily spending it
Yeah.
now, just making sure that if we do need it or did want to spend it on the town hall moving forward, that it would be there, so.
So we have a mover. And a seconder, so all in favor of the motion, and that's carried. Okay, go ahead.
One other thing, while Josh is here, and we know we've got the community center expansion, obviously haven't decided on the final details of what's gonna happen over there. But once again, I didn't see anything allocated towards that and was just concerned. Because that is a project we'll be moving on here in the next year or two, because we've been.
We haven't expired on the grant.
Yeah, 26 is.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, so we've got grant money for it, so this is a project that we can't put off. So I think it would be wise of us to start allocating at least some money here right now. Once again, we don't know what the final result is gonna be over there. We've seen nice plans, but I think we all know we're gonna have to downsize from that. So until we get that number, I don't know, I have $50,000 written down, but I mean, for what's going on over there, I would be willing to even go as high as maybe 100. Because I'm seeing that probably what's gonna end up happening over there is gonna cost us somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million, if not more than that, in terms of our share.
Okay, Lionel has this.
Through you, Chair, in 2022, the project for almost $5.1 million was approved, and that included a $1.3 million draw from the admin reserve, so that money's been allocated to the community center upgrade, in addition to the $3.7 million for the grants.
Okay, so
So. So we could take that money out of the admin reserve is what you're telling me?
You chair, that was approved in the 2022 budget.
Okay, the what, so the 1.3 million went in the admin reserve. And the 100,000 that I'm asking for can come out of that.
Future, the $100,000 that you would be adding to this project could come from anywhere. I mean, if you wanted to add it to the project, you could choose the admin reserve or OMPF reserve or any
No,
reserve.
but, okay, but you just said that you just said that the money went into the admin reserve, so I'm figuring if I'm gonna take it for this project, I'm gonna take it back out of the admin.
Money didn't go into the reserve. There's 1.354 million dollars in the admin reserve that's been allocated to this project. It's sitting there committed to the community center upgrade.
and that would, yeah, so I'm kind of, so from the grant that we had, like. We have allotted some money for our portion of the grant. That's not that. That's extra on.
That's our commitment,
Yeah.
1.3.
Okay.
He's saying that we've already put that into admin.
Yeah,
So all I'm saying is, then we just draw it out of admin because we already put it in. Right? In 2022.
that's what I'm,
If you share, it all depends on how much money we want to put into this project. In 2022, when we applied for the grant, we estimated $5,077,250. So our portion of that total budget was $1,354,000. So if we want to keep it at that level that was approved in the 2022 budget, we don't do anything. We already have that amount of money allocated in the reserve. If we want to add to that project, then we would have to pay for that extra, like 100%. So that would be up to council.
Councilor Doherty.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We had $1.3 million in there. We have spent some of that because we've already done some work on it. So it is less, probably around what, 780 or something.
So you chair, that seems accurate. We have to put in a claim for this year's.
Yeah, so, but it's in flux then. But I still go back to Deputy Mayor. It's in there. If we either take it out of there now or we expense it now, I think we would prefer to take it out of there now. And if we're short, we'll deal with it at the end with our.
Again, not only that, it gives us a true value of our reserves moving forward, right? Because otherwise you're gonna look at the admin reserve and think you've got $100,000 or however many hundred more than you really have because it's allocated to a project already.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
And through you, Mayor Martin, in the original grant application, and in the original budget allocation that we made for this, the monies were there to assist in paying for the expansion, which was part of the grant application. Will that money still cover the expansion? I'm not sure, but we're gonna find out. But there is a reserve there for our portion of that grant.
And just sort of to move this along, because we're getting stuck here again, once again, I'm sorry about that, but I honestly, I don't care where it comes from. I just, if we can pick something, probably one that the admin I think is pretty healthy, so I think that would be nice for it to come out of that. Because compared to maybe some others that reserves aren't so healthy, but I'd defer that to Lime or whoever to make that final decision, so.
So over the next 6 months, we're gonna have to get a plan in place here. We're gonna have to, and we'll know exactly what we're gonna be building, if we're building something, and we're gonna know that cost. So moving forward, as long as we have some money there that we can access to get these drawings done, and get the plan going, because we're gonna have to have it done before the end of the year. We're gonna have to have, like, it's gotta be construction started soon if we're gonna get this grant. The other side of it is, once we have these numbers in place, I really think knowing how the economy is right now and where the shortfall is gonna come because of COVID and building prices, hopefully we're gonna be able to go back to the government and say, look, we're, with the changes, like, that'll be the next step. Once we know what we're at here, we're gonna hopefully go back to them and say, like, we got a shortfall here. The grant was good in 19, but it's not good now, or whatever year, 22, whenever we got the grant. It was good then, but it's missing now, so. But as long as we've got a place to access the money, Lionel, I guess that's, so if that's where we would get it from, or if we. Go ahead.
Each year, yes, I mean, the expenses that I've been hearing so far could be part of, you know, this project. So, for instance, what we spent already is part of the project, and any sort of planning that could be part of what's already been approved. Yes.
Okay. Jared, go ahead.
I agree, we should get something, and I agree, if it come out of the admin portion, you can tag it or bracket it or whatever you want. It's coming out of the portion that we've already set aside, so it's not new money, not new tax dollars, but we have it available. And it's available now, it's just not on the budget.
Yeah. So
$100,000.
Sure, if everybody's good with that, I think we're gonna end up spending that eventually, right?
Yeah.
So $100,000 from the admin reserve towards the expansion of the arena, or the work at the arena. Okay, so you're
Yeah. I'll
moving that.
Yeah,
Seconder,
I got one more.
Counselor Doherty,
Yeah.
all in favor? And that's carried. Go ahead.
So the other one was, sorry to get back to the sports field, but I think you referenced it, Mr. Mayor, was. We made the motion to allocate the sports complex recreation field and then relocate the pickleball. But I think you referenced the possibility of selling some lots off our property over there too. I was wondering if we need to make that a part of the motion to have staff start moving on that in terms of identifying where said property would be.
We would absolutely take that motion, please. If that's council's.
It'd be part of the survey. Once they've done the survey, we'll know if there's even room. That's what the big part is. Until we get a survey, we don't know how much room is there, so I don't even know how much to say, like. But it's just if there's room to sever off 6 lots along the line there, it would make total sense to help pay for this sports field, but. It's an unknown again, working on unknowns all the time, but the survey is supposed to happen. We passed it in that other part, and that could happen over the winter. So I don't know how.
So, okay, just further to that,
Just how do you do it in mid-budget? Like, so like if we don't do it
okay,
today,
I guess it'd be our staff that makes that determination, right? Once we get the survey. I'm just saying in terms of
Yeah.
if there's room there for lots and where it would be, or would let me doing that, like I'm just. Because they're the ones that come up with the concept drawings, weren't they? So.
okay,
Through you, Mr. To your point, Deputy Mayor, well, we're gonna get let in. We have to tell them what we want. They can't do a plan based on. And so part of our instructions would be, see if this and this fits.
line up,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And that would be a secondary step after we get the survey.
Ideally, it would be nice to like to get some money, as to the mayor's point. They sell the lots to pay for what we're doing, right? If we do it right, maybe we can't do that, but I mean, if there's a way we could do that, I think that would make good planning sense,
Yeah.
right? So,
If I may do a follow-up, and we also have to think how we're going to get the services there. That's a big ticket item.
Well, they don't have services, they just have septic and well. Same as the rest of that corner.
So who is that? Who's they?
The ones that are already there, the buildings that are already there, none of them up on that corner have, it would be septic and well.
I understand that. But if you're gonna put a new ballpark in,
Oh,
are
the
you
ballpark.
going to drill a well for them there? Or do a dispense, like you're gonna have to have water there. So where's it coming from?
And that's what I'm saying, is right now, I think they might have water service to that corner, but septics would happen for these lots as far as, and probably for the ball field. It's hard to say. We're kind of ahead of ourselves there on what we would be looking at. That'll be a part of the plan.
I don't know whether we're ahead of ourselves, but we need to get the idea of what it is to see whether we would
That's right.
gonna go A or B with the cost, but right now,
So that's what I'm saying, is we would ask that when they're doing this design, like.
that's the key right there. We have to ask them to
Yeah.
include that, so we know what the overall costs be, because coming in with $1 million and then find out it's 2.5 when we want to hook up is a big jump for us to kind of get.
Yeah, so I'm just talking on these lots. I'm not talking about the field, like it's like
Yeah, but I'm talking about holistically, about that project.
the ball done.
Everything on the thing, we're gonna build a ballpark, a tennis court, a pickleball, and we're gonna have someplace for them to change, someplace for the washrooms to go. And then subsequent to that, we mentioned that we'd like to see whether there's any lots available, and if they are, can we hook them up to sewer or water?
So for today's purpose, if this is in there and we gotta, I think that, I just don't know the number to put in there. It'll be a lot of it's gonna come out. If we tell that we want everything that you're saying there, what's the number we put in there? That's all I'm saying is, I agree with you. I'm just saying we don't have a number, so, the big thing today is there a place to access the money is part of, if we request to let that we were looking at some lots there, whether they're serviced or unserviced, I don't know at this time, but if we wanted to sever off 6 parcels of land there, I'm just using that number. That would be in their instructions, but the rest of it, I think, depends on the design, like whether the canteen or whatever, the change room or whatever is gonna have a septic and a well, or whether it's gonna have water. We don't know that yet. That's gonna come when we see the design. Prefer to have water and sewer, but we won't have sewer. There's no access to be able to have that.
Not yet, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. So,
Or your houses.
yeah, okay, so with this here, it was just, Lionel, do you have any suggestions as far as the this part here about the survey? That's for later. Is there any money that we need to put in here? Or when we just put it in part of Let's plan that they're doing, then we'll know better what we're gonna need, because the first thing is the design. So the $100,000 or whatever for design, no, that's for the recreation center. For the design over here at the sports field, until we get that design, we don't know what we're gonna need.
Future, I'd suggest making that part of the staff report when we get more information. There's different reserves we could look to.
Okay, so for today, we don't need to. Okay, thank you. So we should be okay there.
No, I just wondered, I know
Yeah.
something you want.
Yeah. Okay, so is there anything else here for Josh?
You good?
Okay, Josh, you got enough money to work with? Go ahead.
Doing a great job, Josh.
Thank you.
Okay. All right then, we'll okay, thanks, Josh. That covers that part of it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
Okay.
you, Mayor Martin, and all of council.
thanks, Josh. Take care. Okay, so what's the next step?
I think we're at the end of the story for today. So we move a motion to approve the budget with all the changes as discussed today.
And we just, if I may, through your chair, it's the final 142.
You share the final as sitting right now at 4.2.
Okay.
Well, we need to know the number before we're gonna approve it.
Yeah. So right now, we're sitting at 4.2. Been a lot of work on it, lots of discussion. I just wonder, the motion could be that we bring back a bylaw during this meeting.
We will have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If everybody's comfortable with what's in there today, we could pass a draft budget here today, if you're comfortable with it. Well, I forgot about that one too. So it's up to you. Like, yeah, we haven't talked about the water treatment plant. Like, is there money in there if we go ahead with any?
Do we have to okay
Expansion.
it today? Do you know what I mean? Or
No.
can we just come back and open and then
Yeah.
okay it?
Yeah, like the next meeting, we could think of, that's probably a safer way to
That's
do
what
it.
I'm getting at is that because I don't know, I don't know what the rest of council's this terrible habit of I go home an hour later, you think of something, right? Because especially in meetings like this where we go all day, sometimes in the afternoons, things slip out and I don't remember them until maybe dinner time or later. So if, yeah, I would be open to something like that in case a member of council, something arises and it is better be to.
So we passed a motion for everything today, and if nothing changes, the next meeting, we could bring back a motion to, bring back a bylaw for the budget. We could bring back some questions. Maybe we can get the questions out of the way before that meeting, and maybe we don't, maybe there is no questions, so yeah, that's good. So for today, let's just.
And just for the public too, I think we're pretty much where we're gonna be,
Yeah.
especially in terms of the tax rate or
Yeah.
whatnot. The rest will be kind of minor changes, so yeah.
So, okay, so for today's meeting, let's, Bob just found something.
Sorry, just for council's information, on page 121 of our budget book, sewer capital projects. There is an allocation, item 24, $631,000 for wastewater treatment plant expansion in 2024.
Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
That's why we got him here.
Making you sound.
Okay, all right, so for today, let's just get the confirming bylaw for today's meeting. Confirming bylaw?
Sure.
Somebody want to move the confirming bylaw, you? It's okay,
Here,
moved by Councillor Clymer. Seconder to the confirming bylaw?
I thought Bill seconded, sorry.
No, she made the motion, Kathy seconded, all in favor, carried, motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councillor Doherty, all in favor, carried, thank you.